everyone. Salam, salam. Captain Eritrea, Matsina Lana, Erotem, Allahu. On the top right, who I see is Baba Mahmoud Adoro, Jabha Fighter Jigna, Batatakhani, Baba Michael Bayanem Allahu, another Jabha Fighter Jigna, and then Hawaii Binyam Ka'alobzi. Hawaii Binyam Alobzi, Suhani, California, you. You guys hear that background? And then Arkeha Tedros Amselahu. We're going to discuss a few things about what's going on in the current events, but certain people ask certain things, and then history, Hani, Kahatite. The first thing, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. Baba Mahmoud, go ahead.
Mahmoud Adarub, I'm ex-ELF. Still I am a member of ELF and in the leadership of ELF. I live in Arizona and I'm a nurse. I think that's enough.
Good to go. And then Baba Bayane?
Mikhail Bayane, Wad Bayane, Kamti, Ane, Kamti Mahmoud Adrob, Zwolo, Tagadalai, Tagad Laharnet Eritrea, Kapso An Hamishtan Jamire, Etalsi, Kasab Hijuni, Hotsolo Lohu, Ab Eritrea, Kasat and Harnet and Fithin, Koine Hotsla Lohu. تيكاندي كقتلني زخالي نحن أبقى سبسينا كساب نهاجر وناسنت كنا بوانا صفينا هنك أرس كلنا زقات من ناتجا زي جديتنا نبتدت كم زمان سنة التاريخ زحبروي ده حرب الصحة بلا قلصو جن أبزي أمريكا يقمت أب سان دييغو نو نرسي جن أبتي بوليتيكا وعزوق ساب حجي قاري سيفلتن يغني لي.
Okay, and then my brother Binyam.
أنا دما بنيام بحال بنيام مانيل تقادلايكم كن زيوم نعانا تقادلهم ملعب ميوم أبزز بصحنا إيرتريان كنا بحال بتعمي يغني لي بالكاب وش تلبي أبقد لي عبيه كل عخل له جن أبلع لي دما أبز عادي أبشعنت شعتمتن تسعن 90 جون شعنت شعتمتن تسعة متياسة 3 عامد جارة تقرني أنا تيخن دتي برتعاي كونن ناده حساسي زخيز زلو جن أبحكم ناي سرح nurses doctors أنا انتاي بهال مالت الصراحة يتوام مالتي hospital هون ولا private practice you know أنا يفعل كوني رسالستي أحواتي خلت nurse كم زلو زينة صبوي زي بلعلو كتسأل دما you know تقدس النت على ناي بوليتيكا أبهجرنا هون ولا بأمريكا يشتغل له كاب كالج مسوده أمريكا أبناتهم بوليتيكا تيومني ما تيوم أميرمني بالذكاء كم زخود بوليتيكا هون ناي foreign policies كلتات تماهير مالتيو أبزيد ما داود زعد منا يغني ليبل صبوا لي لايزي
And then Hawana Tedros Amsinalana. Go ahead, Tedros.
Okay, yeah. تشمي تدرس أبرها بحال. بسمرات وليد عبي. عسى شوعات زوريا سوا وريدا أكتشفن سلستن. دحري يومين نفني رسلست عبس. وليد ما ينفي مالتي أي تيجي بحال. بدحريو تمرت جاري فيو ناب حاجات تمديبة أب حاجات كاني حدا عمل سنه أب عصبين أب صورنان دحريو كا بتزنبرا كيرنايتي منجستي هون كي هوت نيت وتدر ناس لزي تقبلكو ني إرترا جاري فيو وتسمالتي دحري 3 عامات أمريكا متى كنت شهن 10 سلستن أمريكا أتي مالتي كابتشن 10 سلستن كسافي جا أمريكا استفر على يسفح you know like a new immigrant مالتي حجي نحجي سرحي security سرح لكم مالتي.
Excellent. If you guys, before we start, do me a favor, hit the mute button That way background noise I سمع عندله مسأوعهم
okay.
تحطوا مسأوعهم. I'll call you and then to Melusu unmute, please. Is that okay with everyone? Thank you. All right, so before we start, we know there's a current situation in Falatina to you know, Tigray versus Ethiopia شجر الله إتي شجر ردعنا يجين كلها أنا أبز panels لنا سلا Eritreans سلا زخونا برespect نت حزبي تحطت كحتى دل ببحرك حتىكم سلا experience سلا زلكم you know عدنا توليدكم كل تفوت وياكم مالت إتي first حطت كحتى دل ن Baba بين حتى first so unmute قبرو انتاي مخسب اللواء Eritreas ab Ethiopia قاسيت أتو and I'm going to ask you in English Kani why is Eritrea joining the Ethiopian conflict what is the gain for Eritrea what's the point
Okay, thank you. تحتها نصرتيا إرتاح أنت هاجريا زهاجر زيا أوشتي نا إثيوبيا خال هاجريا أوشت إثيوبيا زركب جونسي سلمتاي إرسا أتياز بالحتو بروح نجاري مجمريا انتاي إرسا من محدارنا إرسا خميو أب إرسا زول سرعات كميو إلنا ناوينا نمتسب إزي أب إثيوبيا نحنا شحن شعاتي من 91 قال أيون شحن شعاتي من 93 بريفرندم إرسا نصامس وسط إزوم كلتا حاجتات EPLF and TPLF بحبار كوينهم أميدا إرسا يخودو نيرهم حد زي بأسو حد زي وهادو بحبار كوينهم نتنا إرسا حاجة خي طرف انترفرنس غيرهم تقال لحد إرسا ني السودان زوصو حدا أكال كوينهم وشتو كفوهم ولا نقولهم من فالتو نورو بحبار كوينهم
sorry go ahead
كل جزء أنا بلسقو نابلو خدوس لزنبرو إثيوبيا بتجرأ تمرح كلا إرتاح أني بهزباو جمبار تمرح نيرا أبتشوعات عمد زخدوه ولا قا بحبار نحبار جعزو زخدون تومسلو كل جزء بأس نيروهم مخنياتو مجمريات بس مرازو جوجله absolute dictator حق زي بلو جوجله نهاجرو رميسو زخيد مثل نايز خوني يكون أكاد زي constitution زي بالله هاجر نمن سياسات تطفئ أبشو عت عمت عدماء نخلن قربابتي أو قئت أتو سرعات يزولو عدنا إذا سرعات زي بسلامين فتحن بمئات أبجزو أبعدو أي فتح مس قربابتو أي فتح كل جزء بحيلة راح فتح زلي سلازي إذا خلت حيلي فقر الزنبرة بحادث خيد الزنبرة زمثل مركوب لعل علي بتحت جماعات موتات زنبرة أما إيش أنا تسعين شو من تنوجع بمدب إذا ناس مرع ولا بمدب كفتوه حزبي هاجرنا توري رايو كله يدقف نيرو أنا أضرب حصوت هاجرنا أي تورر يا زلا مخنياتو انت الآن أي مريت نايدوب شجر كوينو وقت أطول حدا من إسيونكم موت يقولون وقت أطولو زبط صحنا نوسد زبط صحهم يوسدو انت زي له نحنا نسألتنا زحزنا هاجرينا نسوم كا هاجرهم زلاتهم يعني إلنا نموجود نيرنا أبز وانزي اتهزبي تسأل لهزبي إرسا أبدأ جزركب أوش زركب قال حنت نجر زفوت أنا جري يقولون جنا أبدأ جزرله ويعني ولا نيرو حجنا تحطوا خا ملس اتي صلئي زخحان صلئي امونغوتهم كلتي اميرا بحبار كوينهم هاجر انتو زنبرو اب دغم سخور اني اموطات ايغدفون اتي زلا على غبنيا غن نو كله انستيجيت قبل نوقات زنا هنا منقسيو in comparison أنا بإثيوبيا خلت تجد سجدي خير شو أنا راه نيرو خوني خير كل قدات نيرو خوني خير أب إثيوبيا حق نيرو من محدار نيرو اتهاجرون أبي معبيلو 5 نمر بعين نار إناينا أب إرساجن زمعبله معبلنا يلن حدا حق زي بالله هاجر كان أي تزنبري ناي قدم فابريكاتات كيترفع 5 فرس جيرو سب كاب سرح 5 وص جير عسكرنا طرح تمهارو ناقشتو من اسات اب ساوا وسيدو اغلغلوت نابله بزي دموز زساقل نبره سرعتو
Okay, that's fair enough.
دقيقة why 1 minute معناته shortly we cannot answer it.
Okay.
زي مستوق 9 مستوق نقال يرس وعول جيرو اب تقبالكو عليك على 10 عام 20 years إذن يا سمرا وجيله of course TPLF ويانه جيجاتات نيرومي نتتوسن أنا الجرس بمخنياتات كدونجو جيروميمه جنكا إذن أي أسمرا وجيله كم مدب دوك هنصر دليت هاي نورو مخنيات خانع علامات لزنبورو حب علامات لزنبورو كابوس سبق جسد يحر أسرع عمت حدش منقستي ويكاني TPLF ويكاويانه كابسلتان مفوردو كتا مزنا يسمى أنا إثيوبيا زلوا مراحي أبي أحمد مسؤول كم مستقبره إتي أتحساسات تغيروا ماني انتهي تغير تحساسات أكندي إتدوب مجمر يا تحنسات دوب نخيت حنسات تطواب بلومه كابز كلت عمت زي روي زخنا خمتي من إسيز ولو روي زخنا نجاري خيد نيرو ني ويانا الموقع استراتيجي كاو علامة حيزو ناس مرا حيلي يدالو نيرو اتني أدسا حيل أب حقو أكن زغيد زسم معرو خوينو بتزار نايتي بمسمع ناي كلتيهم نزوق زي دالو يقول نيرو أم مدرخ شعوب إذا نري أزلنا تولي عماليتي حجن تاي أنا زريو شجرنا إثيوبيا أم مونغو TPLF سجبر مس فيدرال ناي إثيوبيا ناتهم شجري نحنا سلمن تاي آتيو زبل حتى مدوس لزخني نات استراتيجي لغنا مخنيات علام أسو نصوم اتي بأديس أبابا أنصار وياني بس مراخا أنصار وياني حجي بزي مصروته شجر إنه زنري أزلنا دماغ تخفيتو حجي أنا خلت أنا قري أزريو مجمريا كم غربا بتنحنا وق فتح شجر كم زي كونه عقب نبل تعارقوا بحواركم شجركم فتحوا نبل اتنا إرثا تاوجين نكونن مخنياتو إرثا هانت هاجريا نبكال هاجر كيدا دقفنا يكال أخوينا ختواجع زدقف هاي نكونن نحنا من إساعتنا دقنا ولا قام استسرعت هالو أب إثيوبيا خيرهم كموتو أين دقفن حادي قال أي كاب هاجر مستعم كفي أوام زهادومو أب شجر زنوبرو أب سدس زنوبرو أما أبي يونايتد نيشنز حقو زنوبرو 100 شخص غونو إرتراويان بوغن دنكل يكون بوغن تግራይ يكون تعاقبهم زنوبرو نابኦም كيدهم أبلعلهم زخده زي سبعو تغبارات بحيل منزع خامتاو ازيون يكونن ثالثاي اتي أبلعلي حزب تግራይ سلاماو حزبي قلعت أنسي مرحت هايمانوت بتخسيانات مسجدات زقبر زلو متكعت خاني إذا أخذنا زلو إيه سبعو زخونه نجري سلازي أب تاريخ درجي أب هاجرنا يجزء نيرو كندي عدتها عندي كم زين عايزي أمكن أيتر أن مخنياتو أب عدز أن حكا جبار زموس أمانجسي إلو حفظ بل مزموس أمانجسي إيو تسمع معز خيل إتزواجا أجن يواجا نحنا أبجد خلنا بوتا مثل كأنا يوم نتبوتا تمليسهم مسحزوه جل أكلات يقتلوا يومين الماء ما جن قال عصبيتي أيرا أنان درج خاب درج حسم يلن جن خاب درجن العلي زي ما حسمو زي ودحنكا بزي مهنيات زخي زلوج زي سبع أوج فتح زي بلو نحنا بزعبا فتح نزارب كلنا أبي يمن زكاي زلوج خنينا هنا سلامنتاي ኢሰብኣዊ ስለ ዝኾነ ንሰላማዊ ህዝቢ የጥፍእ ስለ ዘሎ ኣብ ሶርያ ዝካየድ ዘሎ ውግእ ኮኒና ኢና ምክንያቱ ኢሰብኣዊ ስለ ዝኾነ ኣብ ዩጎስላቪያ ዝኸይድ ነበረ ውግእ ኮኒና ኢና ኢሰብኣዊ ስለ ዝኾነ ስለዚ እቲ
Baba Biane, Katwalka Hanti so Nagota can Ati in again is the Etian viewers not a team freedom team that's in it besides the low honey for Kani to English Zarabu. So no way I could go coin up or translate the English begin or it's not Tedros Ati and then Baba Mahmoud Ati. But go ahead, what
great. Oh, I didn't time out and it's the low see up to Ethiopia as a log ብፍላይ ከዓ እቲ ናይ ኤርትራ ስርዓት ኣትይዎ ዘሎ እዚ ኩኑን እዩ ኣነ ብወገነይ ዘይፍትሓዊ ዝኾነ ስራሕ እዩ እቲ ሰራዊት ናይ ኤርትራ ከዓ ናብ ቦትኡ ክምለስ ኣሎ ሽግርና ኢትዮጵያ ባዕሎም ይፍትሕዎ ኣነለ
Okay, now my buddy Tedros, so if you can wrap that up what he said in English, a short maybe version of what Baba Bayana said, can you translate for us in English and then in your English in Tigray and Hoswas, go ahead and Tedros. Unmute, brother.
Well, his reply is like, it was very long, Dave, and very detailed, so it's better if you translate it, you know?
Give us a shorter version of what he's saying. He's saying
his opinion, so I don't want to kind of muddle it up, you know. Is my
okay. So let me try, and then you tell me if I said it correctly, Baba Ben, and her wrong. So what he's saying to sum up everything he said in Tigrina is the reason aside for the. Go ahead, Baba Ben. Be English, Balo.
Well, I can focus to current events. The other history you can forget because the relationship between TPLF and EPLF was solid while they were in the field before 1991. That's why they be against ELF. They fight, and it's not right what they did it, but they were like one family. As soon as they control Eritrea and Ethiopia, it means TPLF was ruling Ethiopia and EPLF was in Eritrea and the TPLF was in Ethiopia. Still, they were friends, I mean, superficially, but internally, they have a lot of conflict among each other. The war started in 1998 to 2000, was started by the Eritrean regime because the conflict erupts all of a sudden. And we were opposing that war. We say, this war have to stop. If they have any problem in the border, they have to solve it peacefully, in round table. But it doesn't happen. How many innocent Eritreans lost? After that, after they sign in Algiers, still the problem was not solved. They have their issues, but it should be solved, the border conflict, because we were not expecting to get another life loss. We were saying this problem has to be solved. Still, it doesn't. As soon then, in 20 years, the regime in Ethiopia will change. The TPLF will lost the power, and the new regime or the new leadership of Ethiopia decide to solve the border conflict between Eritrea and Ethiopia. And he announced that Algiers agreement is going to be applied. And 99.9% of Eritreans and Ethiopians were happy. Because if the border problem is solved, other issues is not a big problem. Then, but Abiy, as soon he traveled to Eritrea, he changed his mind. Because the evil in Eritrea, he doesn't want to be solved with this conflict because he can survive only when there is conflict. Because in Eritrea, it's absolute dictatorship. He doesn't have any rule of law. There is no ministry that is functional ministry. All the young are like conscripted in military and other things. There is no any right in Eritrea. So all the young kids were leaving Eritrea because of the problem. because of the administration route. How many prisoners are there? As soon we wait that to be solved with the border conflict, still in 2 years of Abiy, the war started in Ethiopia, internal Ethiopian conflict. So I don't care if they fight Ethiopians among each other. If I have opinion to say it is right or wrong. The worst thing is the Eritrean government interfere in this war and supporting Abiy. Now, this is my stand to condemn, because Eritrea has not any business in Tigray.
Agreed.
Even if they don't like Tigray, our military soldiers should not interfere to this war.
Okay, so let's give Baba Mahmoud a chance. Tedros, he will return. So Baba Mahmoud, I have a question for you. When people khulukhulo Eritrea for Eritreans, Yulumish, how can they say Eritrea for Eritreans? Kama garum kama khulukhulo indher Eritrea Tigray business atella hijis. Does that make sense to say Eritrea for Eritreans? See, you confuse the government. What does that mean? Eritrea and Eritrean business yulu. Again, na Eritrea and Eritrean business koinu kamegaras Eritrea atella Tigray.
Okay. I think what the Bene brought the background كلهم تقويو. Again, I think أبزي جزيزي كاب أبي أحمد مصري وكاب تناي conflict مس إريتريا دلو solve جرنايا إلو بعلمنا international acknowledgement رخيبو recognition رخيبو ناي سلام سبتا بحيلو and here maybe يمكن تقندنا قرنيرو ولا نوبل برايز ون كركبت conflict نوح جزيس لسانحي باتنا United Nation كمان resolution كمان executed سلا زي خوني قن أبزي أجزي زي أنا من تاع حجي حزب إريتراويان أبتقرأ أتيوم I think it is different issue مجمّر يا أبي أحمد مسمز إيه إذا أقول دا إذا أنا conflict التفتح حاجة لم استبح عليه how many times سياس has visited the first visit زمن أبرت مرحلنا نحن نسأبك كأنيرة
أيوه.
أوكي دحريو أبحانتن تاريخهما إثيوبيان إريتريان حدش الكدان ولا قال أسيرهم جميرهم التبل زاربانيرا ناي مفتوح ون something نيرا that so and then Ethiopia أب جيبوتي marine training تقبر أب إريتريا خد قبر يتحساب نيرو قلنا دحر أب جيبوتي تغيروا أبيناي تمارين كسرحيو أب ليك تانا ولا أبيو تمارين زسرح نبيو تمارين زقبر زلو I think there is a يعني نحنا زي نفلتو نقر أمانجو سياسي أمانجو أبي أحمد استود إيه بزعبنا هاي قداينا إريتريا قالوا إلي يعني زأمن إذا كله زي أوركسترانا إريتريانا أبو خيدا اندستري خيد نا سياس visitors فلو دحر غيركم خوينون ولا تتزاربوا وتتبلوا it looks they went beyond them than to كلتة nation beyond حليفهم ما ينبع عليه جن أمانجو تقرأ الله which is against أبي أحمد و against سياس تسمع من عمله زلو نقر تقرأ خلا كفت ما يخليني وإن كان انتهي تسمع من عمله فلتين ناقل أنا بناتي قمت إريتريا بتقعد ما هي لسلاسة زنبرتو قداي تماليس الله
بحكي
سلازي قنت تقرأي أما نقول له سلازي علامة تخود وتقرأي كالقصوى له and that is I think it's key نجر كلتي خمسهم إريتريا أي تخافلنا قبله يقولون سراويتنا إثيوبيا بزال أمباساد حرمزيو سراويتنا إريتريا بصنعفين بعلي تناد حرمزيو انتايو إذا فرونت زي بلاس سراويتنا أي نا إريتريا ها بعد مد حرمزيو ثلاث فرونت خفيت اللهم مالتيو سياس سلذي إتعقد داي أي تودت النبي يتعلم we don't know قل I think it is beyond Eritrean زبلو نحنا أنا I don't care كمحمود مثلا I don't care ولا سرعتنا سياس ولا سرعتنا تجراي ولا لا سيد أبي أحمد I don't care تجراي كدعاتهم قد يعملنا من إحنا شايف we help them I remember حنت نجر 1975 برت نتيل TPLF نوسط خلنا أبقوم هالة زبهال بوتا نخيد خلنا بتا أجمال حتى سبعين نيرو قبل تمر عمرايو نبي تخدر لهم تقاقي من قدر لهم ولا قليل لنا نقاقي لنا نبي نخيد نفلت علينا دحر إلنا أبزع عدنا أبزي بركة زوم تخارير طب السودان بس يوم عنق شطو عنقي شطو حجتين أوالد عنق قزا خبون قل بزح دراي باللعني أصابوت دراي بالعني مستلي قالوا أنا يشتم سلذي تين أوالد نتدره نتتخرير يبوه تعنق وصدو نتتخرير بوتا عيلة ذلو سب كل زوردو أبو أبقرب يوعل نتقدر هو سيدوا خاردان تدلي خارس إنه خمزي خل دربي الله أسيروا النافع حريت تبو تسبز حصل زوعلو خارة في حيرة وصيات أديرو بقى حريدوا خمزي عم السلاح يبون هذا سبعي اتبرت مسانسك أبو أجمالوز الناس نبرنا I remember it أبقبيت عدا نويانه مش شعبية خلوه مسحزنا يوم نويانه تقادلتي سلازي إذا يوم كلت يوم خمزي حمخشت كلت ورحات حمخشت سنقوم زبهالو بخامة عينتي يخدون يروم إذا أقول دا إذا أقلنا إذا أوجي نحنا زي نفلتو كالي فيش نجر أندر اللوا بهلا يعني and Eritrea sovereignty is in danger ولكن إريتريان كلهم كل هذا حمشت سبعيزو أنا ودب لني أنا أنت لني يلوي خيد they are not looking at that one and I think that Ethiopia عندما عندها عند حزاتها وي يعني ولا إريتريا خمن قصة خينا مين نقر عصب باسع ده I think it is very difficult to fight it against another 30 years so it is أوجه هيك أتي والع تسبيتي توم مساكين زموتو السوم يوم ذبلوها أمبر كالي ألين جن السياس and أبي أحمد will not stay long together okay أبي أحمد he is in honeymoon situation مسام حرور له جاب زي اوكي سلازي ولا تيوم مريتنا السودان وصدوا خلوه مريتنا السودان يدلوا خلوه
بابا محمود هاني مون دي خالك
هو
Yes.
مسام حرور هو قال له شا سلازي تيوم ام حرو انت دعنا تمريتنا السودان ابو انت دي تواقع مسوم they are going to leave him جن السياسة already سراويتو سديدو نبتهم ام حرو زوم قد مجلس سديدو سراويتنا ارتاح خيدي ابو سلازي it is very complicated issue نحنا اتسالماو سبكم موت كوندمنا قبره قل سراويتنا اثيوبيا وسراويتنا تجراي ولا نا اريتريا كوندمنا تجركا we condemn the system it is نسوم زخادوه
واني
قل اريتريان still they are split and they are you know انا بعد ما وقي I was there 1979 أبو بعد الأمباسجر قبل أملاخ بعد إدريساي أبو تسوي أملاخ ما أوكي أشي تخلى هيمانوت بحال أبزا لوس أنجلوس ألو he recorded a video at that time كبت بعد ما يوز خلوت فيديو ونا لنا كبت نحنا انتاي جاب هايلا نحنا سي we kick them out today صباح كيك قبرونا إذا كبت مين نقرناتنا كقدفنا سلزخوني أبدا نحنا نقدفلهم قديفهم إريا خيدهم كبت تايم نحنا قدفنايا كساب تأوقي تجمر the whole area كب إذا إريا ناشلالو دك شحاي دك داشم ديدا العلاي ديدا حتاي التخلي مهنود إذا كلهم كساب بعدهم تحتهم محضرنا ويانا نيرو كم 1997 ويانا تم محضرهم نيرا ده حارة قداك من الجمهورية بقى جميرون بر ويانا تم محضرهم نيرا إذا كله يرس أما محضرهم إذا حادة يما يبي مسجبها كأتو ومسجبها نجبها كواقولهم يمكن حادة بخشيش نيرو وخون ده حارة ماليسهم when he want so إتينا إثيوبيا قداي نا إريتريا قداي بزي أبي أحمد السياسيين زكاية دلو is different story there is a fishy things that نا إريتريا sovereignty abdanger زؤتو اللوه.
Haki. Well, thank you for that
Thank you.
explanation. I think the phone Rakofa Bilkaya. I know Bilka has kala khamnate battery I told if you can it's okay. Bini تدرس كاتي حتى كابيني بيجي نتاك قليل question هون because you know سلانة سخانة mute نردهم so we got to make the young kids understand. I'm gonna ask you some hard questions but I need you to make them short and precise. Fair enough?
Sure.
Okay, so check it out. You've been supporting Captain Eritrea and team that's in that Team Freedom. We are one organization, Team Freedom. You got that, Mish? Okay. My question for you is, there's a lot of people that are in the center that are undecided. There's a lot of people mixed up. My question for you and the people that follow you, because I know you have a lot of friends, why are, if we know the war is wrong, if we know, and this is just my personal opinion, going into Tigray is wrong, why are Eritreans in the diaspora, friends of mine and yours, going heads up with Tagaru? Sometimes Tagaru can the pieces go through? The reason why I ask you this question, and think carefully, because this has ramifications for the future. My children and their children. If this situation is not resolved, our children, Beanie Man, are gonna have to deal with this, and their children are gonna have to deal with this. Go.
Well, thank you for having me, and I probably I want to thank the two gentlemen that are before me that have paved the way for us actually to be here and to say that we're Eritrean and talk, because they're heroes. You know, they're paid the heavy price for us to have a country called Eritrea, and that is Eritrea is a free country because every Eritrean has contributed to their country. So every person in Eritrea in diaspora have the same right to have an opinion of their country. But one thing that breaks my heart now is that we're all divided in so many ways. When we see something wrong, we're not united together to say this is wrong and this is right, you know? And when you ask about youth like you and me and in diaspora, we came here with nothing. You know, our parents brought us just for an opportunity, because there is zero opportunity in Eritrea for people like you and me, the young people, the people that are supposed to lead this country, because our elders said we have fought for you. We're not capable of leading it past in this way. So when we came here to America, all of us have taken an opportunity of making something ourselves. These youth that are here that are divided, a lot of them, if you talk to them off camera, off Facebook, off internet, they will have this agreement that, yeah, we Eritrean, despite being free country, we're not really free because we don't have constitution. We don't have any law. The law that Eritrea has is the law of the jungle. The same law that my fathers who passed away in the war, it says on all these people when they came, they brought that law to the country and it broke Eritrea. So I honestly believe that everybody's heartbroken, and that when they're brokenhearted, that heart has not healed. So it's always getting infection and wounds, you know, so there's war, there's all these issues that you see. So the mental health of our people is not in the best place. And if I can answer it in the best way that I know, I believe this cycle of abuse, the war that we see that was there before us and that it is now, it can go to the next generation, like you said, if we don't get together, united, when it's something wrong, to say something wrong. But I don't want to jump away, and I want to say something to the two gentlemen. I would like to say it in Tigrinya, but they're very, I think they understand English better than me. So I want to say to them, everybody should invest in reading the letter that Dr. Abai wrote to Isaias the first time, and then the Isaias writing a letter, giving it to Usman and Gabriel Michael and them to go to Addis Ababa to hand it to Dr. Abai. Dr. Abai signed it, and then they went back and had 2 more letters of agreement. This information, TPLF, the Brethren, and a couple of them were in that meeting, they're aware of it. They should have made it public so the people can see exactly what is the agreement. So there will be no more grief. People have a clear understanding. So if people feel that maybe Eritrea has been sold to Ethiopia or not, all these crazy things that we hear on the internet can be clear. Eritreans, we're in desperate need of freedom because we don't have any information. We're controlled by one man and his leadership, and whatever he says, it goes. But it does not go through me and you that are educated and that are here in America, because we ask better. We deserve better. Awat Nahafash means for everybody, not just for one man to lead the country and decide what to do with that country. But I'm sorry, I kind of take it. Give me a second question.
Okay, no, that's good. So the next question after that, I'm waiting for Teddy to jump in, but if he doesn't jump in, I'm gonna go to Baba Bayane. So Natkum answers. I know Butter Zarabai, so try to keep it as short as you can so we don't run out of time. Unity. So the next question for you, Binyam, is why Slamtai are Eritreans na Abiy Ahmed Kamarham Yikala Sulo Malate? Why I say that, why I ask that? I know what the Eritrea Nesai Saforki I Fotwane, because I know Bisonku, you know, Kate Namish Abi Khani Tagaru Otilu Bidhrikani Sarawik Natuna Eritreans Kotulo Genizia Reenu. You can't, they don't show us the wounded Eritrean soldiers that are getting killed. Nobody's speaking on their behalf either. Mish, why are Eritreans, even the ones that don't support Isaias, why are they supporting Abiy Ahmed? Give me a short answer and I'm going to go to Baba Bayane.
I believe that if you look, go ahead, me, you may answer it?
Binyam Majamarta and then Baba Bayane after that.
Would you like me to answer it in Tigrinya or English?
Whatever.
Okay, so,
if you can. This is my personal belief, and I think we're in a position. There's a lot of opinion, despite my education and your education in the American system and how military works. I believe a lot of people are drunk in the mentality of revenge, you know, and that comes from the leadership of Eritrea. And Isaias have gave 3 interviews that people can go back from a year and a half ago. And in those interview, his communication was always pointing out that there is a wound that's not healed, and he was scratching in that wound. And as these 2 nurses will tell you, when you're scratching a wound, there is infection, you know? So the people that follow him, the people that co-sign was his, and his anger, resentment, and revenge, it was just brewing. It was a matter of time before that wound gets fully infected, you know? And Abai took an opportunity that Abai was here in America. He taken an advice from 2 people that I can tell you, and he studied Isaias well. And he knew that Isaias is a grumpy person and very angry person, and it's always my way or the highway. He studied him, and he went and approached him in the way that you study somebody which you have a good understanding of mental health, you know, how to approach a patient. So he approached him in a way where he makes him feel like he's in charge, he's involved, right? And he made him feel like he's empowered and all this. So once he did that, he was able to, Isaias, to talk to his people and say, the Eritrean, I kasarnan. And he told the Eritreans, hey, this is not even a dispute of border. You know, he literally, everything that he has said before, he took away from the book, basically made it. And the people for a second cautioned them, but they did not go full. What do you mean by Akasarnan? What do you mean by we don't have border conflict? Because him and Abai already made their bed and they were going to sleep on it. They have already made a plan how to attack Tigray, you know? And it was a matter of time. And I'm by all no means, like these two gentlemen told you, I don't believe Tigray or Derek, all of them have been enemy of Eritrea in the past. And the problem is the Horn of Africa, everything comes from the US here. What happens there is all delegated here. And the advice comes from here. And I truly believe the people that are Eritrean like me and you, till they wake up and united say, hey, we need a free Eritrea. The kids that are born there need the same opportunity like me and you. They shouldn't be born to go be a fighter and die tomorrow. They should be born to be an engineer, a business owner, a doctor, a nurse. They should have Asmara University. They should have things that our ancestors have fought and died for. But the way a dictator like this gentleman tell you, you always keep people in fear. You always keep people thinking that there is war, and that's how you could rule them forever, you know? That's always a mindset of a dictator. And it's hard that Eritreans, today, there are people that don't classify it as a like the worst dictator in the world, you know? He need to be out there in Google, you know, when you Google a dictator, his picture should pop, you know? Because what he has done, he has probably hurt his own people more than any enemy that you can think about. I mean, the enemy growing up, me having my village burned, my father died and everything, I thought Mengistu was my number one enemy, you know, and Dirk, right? But that have kind of transitioned into what it is today. So the people are confused, but also scared. That's the problem. Fear, you control people through fear. And that's all I can tell you. I pray that peace comes for Ethiopia, peace comes for Eritrea. The people are always genuine, the people of Tigray, the people of Ethiopia, Amhara, the people of Eritrea, very lively and kind. You know, if you visit them, they give you their own bed and sleep under the bed for you. The people deserve better than giving all these poor leaders who cannot lead probably one shift at McDonald's. These people are not meant to be leaders. These people have mental health issues. And until you can see them as mentally not inappropriate, they shouldn't be in a position they are. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Okay, so we appreciate that. Somebody wrote, oh my God, Mahmoud is saying we have so much hate in Tigray. Mahmoud didn't say we have a lot of hate in Tigray. If you listen to what he's saying and stop judging, you would understand he was giving you the history of why we got to this point. So if you're gonna write something, listen to what the gentlemen are saying. I'm reading all your comments here. I'm reading all your comments. So if you have questions, we will answer them. Gin subo hatat hatotu. Jajay tukboru ba'alog ma tahawsulu tizaraba. Baba bayane.
إن تحتها نملاس مجمريا إيرترا بحيلا نسألنا ترخيبا أمبر بفوتات نا إثيوبيا وانا يكون ترخيبا دم كفيلنا أنا إيرترا سيناء إثيوبياويان بفلاي أمحارو إيرترا نسأل موسى زيتو حتقول لهم حبرتسب كم مخانم عويلهم تزاريبهم حلمهم إيرترا مس إثيوبيا تتحويسا إثيوبيا زلمعتن زهابتمتن تخون زبل شرحو أبلوهم إيرتراويان كا زي فلتنا يو إثيوبياوي أوشتنا نيرو كم مجمريا برتا وقالسي تجميرو ناخده خلو تقبيلومو أقاليسومو زخلو جبناتنا جبر خلو سقيلومو هزوا حالتات فتيرو هزوا جنبار فتيرو نزوم كلهم إسرائيليان نقتلوا خلو سقيلو بحزام خدنيرهم بخندي كتأفق زي جب من سينات أفيو تانس أنف مسيا نعورك كيبوما ريفرندم مستقبرين تقادلتي دوماز يبلكم نستوهلو سلام أوستلفين تقبرو تقتيلهم تأثيرهم عجب تقبل الله أيبلوهم سنكلات من نبابرونا خفي إن أما حيشلنا أنتبلو تأثيرهم تقتيلهم حادث ابتلع عليه لن مزينو إفراوي زيك أو مخانو لوغناتو مخانو كالت تكونو نعو أمينو خيد نيرو نهاجر منقسن متكال حقن مقبار أو يلن ولا كوان تجمروا نسو انت دليه ولا عطاليجي انت دليه خايد فأخوين إذا كله وجه نايت ساعن شو منتن مسيمن تجبره وجه من السودان تجبره وجه من جيبوتي تجبره وجه عجب عيبنا ما زينوه حماق حزب المخان فرح حزب المخان عم تقرشة دحنا ساعن شو منتن لعل السسة 17 زغون ماتوا مخاني بسممع مسفرمو نعسر عام تقوم بال دب يبلا منيرو دوب نايت حنصبن أبي مسمس انتاي كوينو أبي نتي نا الجرس تقبيله يلو نسمر مصيو نا أديس أبا مسكرة إساياس كلتا عبيت نقرأ فيرو كم تو محمود السقصة حادي أي كسرنا نيدو نحنا كسرنا إذا كلنا هجروا ناس كنا إذا خسرنا يمكن إذا كله بدوبات نسوز والعوج صفأ من إسايك إذا كله السن كذا خي إذا كله تسدد خي أي كسرنا إذا كله نبرة حزبنا خاب دوبات وصيو فحفظ زبالة خي خسارة يكون نسو حقوي إساياس ودلو دقول له مسؤول بيتصابوا له مسؤول حواتوا له مسؤول أي تواجو أي موتو أي كسروا حزب إرفاق كثيرين إذا قبل كله إذا حسب تغيرهم جن ستيل تمز دقفوا حنقول زي بلهم حما حميمي أي كسرنا حواتهم يمتفي من دحل نايب حق إرفاق كوينا كالاي نسخة مرحنا يبون أبي what does it mean إساياس إتا إرفاق أبجبو خمزلا أريو أنت دلخون إثيوبياوي عدلا أنت دلخون كينياوي عدلا أنت دلخون السوداناوي عدلا كم دلا يزقبر عيدوهم سلامتا ذي قاموا كابزين لعل نحنا هاجرينا كم يقدر كهم زيلكا زي بلوه أي بلوان حنت نقدر كم زي بلو فريتو إتا تجبر نقدر كا دوبا يتحنصصتن حاتتون نسات راح هنا يكون عندهم كابلو من يو دوب زعبا دوب حتى عشاء يدوه what does mean نحنا إيرتراويان إثيوبيان مالتها بسقبر سلسة محمود زولا حنت نتبي اتمسير أبين إساسن جيرو مازلو انتايو انتاي سمع تقر زلو زبل حتى كحتي قالون بلايندلي دقفنها نحن بأمريكان نبرا لنا قلنا بديمقراطي لنا قلنا خاني أب ريبابليكان لنا إرفاوين نحتت نسمع لنا زقطعات كندي نقر نيرو كابزي عيني مهارن اتو من هيقدف زقوف زلو نزي بلعسل زغونا سرعة زقوف زلو إرفاوين حنقولهم سيا بأفريقيا يزلو نفسهم ترحيب زلو dead body زي حسب حنقول حيزهم يمزغور زلو سلازي إذا كله أبيزو ناقورو نهاجر سوق لهم ساب حجون دقفور لو قل كأحد نقرأه قالونا لو ناي identity crisis زلون حقوهم كده دقفور نسخهم دي سلازي of course أبي إسرائيل تقاليسه أوكي قلنا يتولد رولاو سنزلو نتاب جدانوز مسأت هاجر نيتوبيا حقوساك على سالو انتاي نقبرالنا إفراويان إذي نتوم دقفتو تراح يكونن إذن قفيلة زقبهم نتوم تقاومتنا عناوين هاي قرنا نحنا half of lossنا هزب إرزا نحتتنا سلطان أب هاجر كهاتلقا بحق تسامعك أب سلطان كل الكفل هاجرات في أمالو مبر أب وانزي نحنا تقبر زقبور نورا بتعمي زبالة سيني روح نسرح نيرنا that's why failure of ناي تقاومو زلنا سلازي اتوم دقفتنا يتسرعة بدوم زموت يوم ذات إرساويان يوم أي إرساويان ذاتو يتأراطرني أنا ولا حكا thank you
okay excellent thank you Baba Mahmoud so lately أبزي حمشتو جيرون حمخشتو جيرون خمسة جورو لورينا مش نحنا قلاوة the younger generation كم خنريا خلنا يردعنا إسلام تخمو زجورو جينا عاي حجينات opinion مالت سلا بويها respect جبرها all my life okay ناي بني عمر ناي تجرينا يفلت يوم كمان warriors soldiers يوم مش أبزي هذا لوم يفلت يوم أبزي زلوم فلتوم أبزي زلوم فلتوم جين تي ألو أبزي هاريمو مسانا زماتوس تي غازت أنا قالت تزاريبنا رمش حموشتي جرام خمسة جرام or بيرو جرام
صلوا
اواني charcoal gerams انا كم disrespect يا زيريو ندك عادي بنيامر خنو تجرينا خنو اندحر against it خوينكا كتزارب تخل ببيرو بسليم غيركا خن instead of marking your face you can speak. Come disrespect though you سمعك. You have to unmute Gavaru.
No, I don't think that it is disrespect. It was actually iti gazetanya iti sarawit ناي إريتريا كله طبح هذا اللي هو يكونن هذا خلطه هلو ويمكن ليت جنريشن أبتو سراويت ناي إريتريا زلوا ذاته تطبح كمان يبلون خون مخناتو أبدا ليت أبزي بدحر جنريشن بدحرنا تولده ذاته بدح يبلون طيب صب قديفوي تطبح again I think they have a message they want to say it maybe program na agadian fashilom khawun program na tigrinya fashilom yakhawun amango zay hasabo iza handabat zina izu wugi masiu anyway they selected kab kullu tizu waga na Eritrea khu wala khali waga tabahat abahz allo يوم نسوم توم أرمنياتات نسوم يوم توم كونتي نسوم كأنه شعبية سراويتنا إريتريا كله تبح خمس اللو سلذي اتصاب خالي و supporting كامو تبلد هرقنكم نحن ون تبح لنا أنا وانا لني سلذي to condemn all تبح اللو من عمر راح يكونون كله أسلامي تارجت no الساعة تبح يكون تبح زي أنا هو زي أنا هتكون يكون تيم مدبيني تبح زي حمزة أنا هتيا they mean أسلام مالتهم
Okay. Oh, it's a meaning skabajaha havana. Give us the meaning what that is.
I don't have meaning for it because it's in Ibahaliyu, unwanted tradition you. I don't know background for it. I think Kapfero, Kapgale, Zamaseyu. It is against religion, against Taisumuyu Slazi. Then it was practiced. There is so many things against Haimanot Sabko, practices sub government culture. had كذا كبتها هيمانوت حيل سلذي كامو يو نيرو جن single out غير كتبح يوم قبلتي تسمو correct جبرو يغربل يلومو كمان صددلو سبات اللو he insists saying it so all these people were supporting كامو تبل دهر خوينكا مخناتو what he is saying is not 100% right okay that amount وذات طبح مسحد اللو يلو انت جنريشن ذات بتسراويت اللو تي كب 80s دحريد تولده اي بلون ما بزحتيو وتمن قصه كمان يتدقفون سلذي he single out and targeted نتم اسلام انا اقول maybe ما تقرينجا بلانز نبرون فشلوهم ناي اغازيان بلان فشلوهم خون سلذي they targeted it. باك يوم سبات كنت بعد بشاركول ولا بخالد قبرو they were in support of that خمزي أمريكا خمزي ببركوز قتلوا سب كل سب ببركة خمو سامبل تقبر نيرا أوكي مخنياتو بزي الجباب سلة قتله ببركو أبكسادو سلذي everybody was doing that even congressmen okay so إذا وين خمو مالتيو support iti niti طبح يونيرو مالتي جن it was a wrong message iti راديو كمان يعني ناي تجراي media house it is allawi afanya ناي تو organization اوكي ساكت دخون الراديو انت تخون معلش ناي خمسة ازيان زاربو زنابرت فساسين ولا قالش مو it doesn't matter when this is the official voice 90 ناوياني so it is sub the governor what is the support so I don't see that one as a يعني insult ولا قال لي خمو اي وسط كون
okay
actually تقاقيهم they should excuse the governor law
Okay, so the way I understand what you're saying, because of the Gazat Enna solidarity Eritrean,
Yes.
جينت كم حجيت يوم تبعت زقبرو عدنا زلو يحواتنا كم disrespect I was doing يوم you قبلوا welcome زدقوا فوم زلو they
Yes.
accept it like you're supporting them, which is understandable. Now I understand. But for us that grew up here, we see that a little different, because we see that as, if you're true and you believe it, go get a knife or lama and do it for real. Because we grew up here, because we're not. But they say imitation is the best form of flattery, Mish. So I understand.
It is solidarity. You ለምሳሌ ኣብዛ ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ሰብኣይ example ናቶ ብክሳዱ ረጊፆሞ እቲ ፖሊስ ዝቀተሎ ሚኒሶታ, everybody was doing kneeling down with the thing in solidarity with him. This is the same like that. So أنا حاجة طبح لني, and I consider it as a solidarity for me, and I thank all the people who did that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so before I go to Baba Bayene Bini Kahataka Binyam, in the head, you said you had a point to make, Mish?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's hear it.
So when I was involved back in college days, I was very involved with all the Eritrean youth in diaspora. I think a lot of youth probably know me from the music era, but I was more involved in providing Eritrea with opportunity with the youth that I was involved with. They're very bright college students. Eritreans probably the most organized people back after freedom, after 1995, 91, you know, through 97, before the border conflict. And one thing that the youth were doing in America and Europe, sending medicine, ambulances, sending books, you know, they were doing a lot of great novelistic things. And we're like one united. And a lot of them are on my page now because they're divided. Majority of them left the government, you know, like the Eritrean government, because at that time, Isaias will come and meet with all of us. And one of the questions that people will ask him is like, Isaias, na Eritrea have tintai, you know, what's the main wealth of Eritrea? Isaias' answer was to us when we're college students, his answer was Hizbah. Eritrea wealth is her people. And at that time, one time we asked them, because there were so many Eritreans leaving the country through Sudan, through Ethiopia, Libya, dying in the sea. So if they are leaving the country, imagine Eritrea must not be wealthy now, right? Because majority Eritreans are in refugee camps in Sudan, in Uganda, in many places, Europe, America. And when you see Eritreans, the minute they leave their country and you present them with an opportunity, the only thing they probably can do is build a NASA and fly to Mars, but they can do anything else because Eritrean people are very brilliant people. And to take that opportunity away and to cut it short and give them the same rules of the jungle, and you don't address that as a leader, you don't address it if you're, I'm not a member of anybody, no HIGDEF, no any other members. I'm an individual. I'm a father with kids that came to America and became very successful because I was given an opportunity. And you take that opportunity away from Eritrea, and the only opportunity present Eritrean youth is fire and war. This is something that we all should be united. I don't care where, if you're Eritrean, you should be united to say enough. We need a better leadership. We need accountability. We need to know why our brothers and sisters are in trenches for the rest of their life. They can't get, they don't have, like the gentleman said, there's no money. They can't even get married and have kids like me and you. What kind of living is that? I'm not even worried about Tagaro. I'm not worried about TPLF. I'm not worried about Derg, because I know me as an Eritrean, when my ancestors said, never kneel down, we're very amazing human being. But that's just taken away. We're all heartbroken. We're even heartbroken now that there is war with people that we had relationship with people that we have friendship with, people that are in our city, that are our friends in reality, you know, that we all can be together and say, this is wrong, you know? So just to put it.
So not to cut you off, but I'm going to put you on the spot because you can handle it, okay?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you a question. Every question I ask you, you said you're ready for the tough ones, Mish.
Well, you know me, and you know my people that said it was his ass. So go ahead.
Okay. All I need from you is yes or no. That's it. Are Tagaru's your enemy?
The people of Tigray?
The Hizbi Tagaru, are they you're
Yes.
Eritrean, right?
Yeah.
Are
The-
Tagaru's your enemy?
People of Tigray, people of Sudan, people of Africa are not our enemy. The
Okay,
enemy.
next question.
Mhm.
Yes or no? That's all I need. I'm putting you on the spot because you
Go
and I
ahead.
go back and forth.
Right.
Is Isaias Afwerki your enemy?
%100%.
Binyam had to tell her, is Isaias Afwerki your enemy? We can't hear you.
It is mute.
Can he?
Yes or no? Is Isaias Afwerki your enemy?
He has killed more Eritreans than people in the war. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yes, that's all I need, brother. Next question. It's sensitive, so I'll ask you. Now, do you know the difference between sympathy and empathy?
I'm sorry, repeat that. I was getting a call, so I was getting the sound not clear.
Do you know the difference between empathy and sympathy?
Yes.
Okay. If soldiers go to war, right? Death is gonna come. It's inevitable, mish. It's necessary for one side to win. We agree there, mish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hizbi khumawut kollo, when the people are dying, if they're innocent, right? Let's say they're not warriors, they just want peace. Are you sympathetic and empathetic for that? If they're innocent, yes or no?
You know, we as a human being, you and I, we have a heart. And when we see somebody else pain as human being, we should feel it. As long as we have heart, when we see, I was a kid in the war. I was a child in the war amongst the Gadelti. I was walking when I was 5, 6 years old, and I've seen bodies at a 7-year-old. Most people can't handle that. And I do not, like today, there are kids that are seeing that, and it breaks my heart. I don't care if they're Tagaru, Eritrean, Amharo. It breaks my heart because no child should see that. There shouldn't be no war. At the end of the day, these dictators gonna sit down and sign a piece of paper and go back to having their kids go into a different country and get an education and life. But there are people that are gonna be broken by this war. And that's what makes me sad. I leave it at that.
One last question for you before I go to Baba Bayene. Okay. The question is, if you were born in Eritrea, now you're in the diaspora, do you believe all the older generation Eritreans, 50 years old and higher, are more colder heart? Are they more stone-faced? Are they more, because when I watch the feedback of our conversations, most of the older ones are ruthless. They say, حجي حنت سبيتي لا سم شماين وعني نابزي سب كنخبرينا مش جين يموتوا قد سنينيو سم دا ولا هزمو موتوا ولا سراويت ناتو موتوا كتور كلاس كم قال يسمع عني like okay look we're at war I understand get to Hizbi كنا نحنمل. Would you say the older Eritrean generation is a lot meaner and closed-minded versus the younger diaspora?
Are you asking me?
Binyam.
Okay. The older generation probably seen more hardship and suffering than we have. The older generation have lost a brother, a sister, a husband, a wife, and so on and so on. They have not, a lot of them that is like that. I see it from my field. I'm in the mental health field, in the medical field. I see it as people that were not able to get help and they still fragile. So when they see something like that, it echo all the emotions and anger, resentment, and fear and paranoia. And that continues. It's a cycle of abuse, you know? So unless you get help for that, you're always gonna have that. And we should not feed on that. So we should be able to pray for those people and ignore it and pray for them because we are led by a man who is really mentally not stable. I don't believe Isaias Afwerki is mentally stable. And this is the people that you see are similar to him. The people that act like that, they're not stable. When they spew hate and anger, resentment, revenge, the best revenge for Eritrean is to be successful. The best revenge for Eritrea should have been, like they said, the example of Africa. We should have been the example of Africa. We should be able to treat our people kind, but we're not. So,
Okay, so next questions for Baba Bayene. So the way this is now moderators.
I love you guys. I gotta respectfully.
Okay. We got you, brother. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
Baba Bayene, this question's for you.
داويد قدم بتاعته دي محتاجك تان محمود زحاتتك بزعبات أنا بحب أخملس دلله.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Father.
بتاع محمود زملس عملتي أبوت أخوينا قن فخوسيلا. إذا استجبر استراتيجيكاوي علامة نهيك دفي. كم تزولو أزيان بروتسفاز بهاللو أب تقال السنة مسواتنا زي أمنو كم أون تقرأي تقريني زبهاللو نهيك دف مسارحي. إذا أم زفوت أروه هقدر زفوت أروه مدبي. إتي أب تقرأي تبح زلهم سبات كانت زي محروب قتلتي إلى مزمصو حده أمون قدم كريستيان دك خبسا أمون قدم إسلامنا هايمانو زي أمنو دك ما تحتن نمفل لاي إذي توم ديكتاتور أزفطوا وميلاي كم تو محمود زوالو ناي قدم جنريشن نيروهم كونو خلو حدا غلطة ون عبيته اللو خونو مرحتي انت زي اللو بشوف عامة سراوتنا إرتراسي تبح زلو إنسومم قتل زلو الكام زراب علامة زلو إيه نمفل لايت هزبيو نمتصلات هزبيو سلازي نحنا زي أي واحدني إنت تبح زلو إرتراوي أكالناي أنا ون أكاليه أب حنتو قدوادنا تقبيرنا جاقانونا أب حنتو قدوادنا قبيرنا إنت تلا أخذ غي زلو بتأزاز غي زلو سراوت فتي كون غي زلو سلامنتاي أنت إنو زي كيد سلامنتاي زي كون أب كنات أب حوي وك أب كنات زي وعلى بليح بهال كنات نسخات فوتوها أوج زي وعلى بورت راح تموت موبيت راح تفوت أنت خوي نجن أم بس عايز خون أبغى أجن حنتي تقيل كتوكس كلا برد دربي إذا هدم سلازي نتحبر تسبن في الليل بهجرف تعلم ميلاي هجرف كله مسارح هجرف يا ولا تقاومتي أو تقاومتي زلوا مسارح هجرف هلو نزخون يكون نجارات تقاومتي خوينا مسارح قربو ناتكاسر يقوم هجرف يبصحو كم ذا أمثلة مسترك بقى أني سبت تحبي يزارب زلوا ذاتو نتوم مشلخ زجوبر لهم سبعة تمالت ماله هجرف زنورو حجب زقربا أي كسرنا مسؤولة زموت مونغو زي ودو يمن بزحت يمانه زجوبر لهم still زوج مستخايره بقى سراوتنا تقرأ تحس خيدو نابل كروز نوري يمن سلازم تايم على فيو استراتيجي زلوا يصير كاز زخون يكون زم قنت تعاومو رد على بهجرف زمت ببارو سلسته زمت بوليتيكا رجيت واخيرالو طباح يكبروا قرنابي يكبروا ولا علي بابا يكبروا who cares إرتراوي بزي الجباب أبزي ملكته بتا أتيلو بين عمرين نحن هو قص كينو ودي خبصا هو قص هالو مخنياتي إرترا أكال إرترا نحن تفرالنا يكونا بتوم تفرالي وزدل يجن عدل كن هوبم يابلنا زبالون تبون سرحنا راح نسرح سلازي زي أخذ لك أدلي ولا حنكا.
Okay, so my next question, Baba Bayene. نحنا الدياسبرا والعزة لنا البوليتيكا أتيناس فتينا خونن. We're not in this politics because we love it or we like it. مش نيتهما منجستي زحارة زكاتو زلو زي سرحو سلاز سرح ناي غروبتنا أباسينا إتينا كنت زرحنا الناس انبرز إتينا بكال نجر زيناتنا زخونة مش هايمانت مس بوليتيكا أحوسني أبز عدي أبعدنا هاني هايمانت مس بوليتيكا أحوسني نروك أرم بعال بويس خاتكم ELF EPLF أرم كتشوفوا خلهم مس
درجي
إثيوبيا ودرجي كمو نجرت سمع عنا برن شعو مالت ولا مسلم كون ولا كريستيان كون سبع قدسوني نرو حججين اتي ودي براد اتيو امونغو يو اتولم كومو جيرو ناي هامانوت سراح مش دحريو كومو جيرو يفاتحهم اريترياوي ابو غخ اتمنى خلوخاني نتغراوي يهارم نحنا نتغراوي نصلئنينا انا حجي دياسبرا دلخو نات اوبينيون مالتي تغراوي انا يصلئني ايصلئني ب يمزغنوم يم يحواتنا يوم غربتنا يم كله جين ابزو وغ كاتوانا خلص اتشت اراناتو كم زص اوتولنا زلو اساس فورقي حنتي اثيوبيا يزدلي ابي احمد كاني اديو زحالمتو حنتي اثيوبيا يزدلي مراحي يزخون يزدلي سلام تاي زيوم اريتراوي هو مسؤول زبلو وعلو ناتو شت ارا يصاوتلو ولا هدافو خون هدافاو خلو ولا خون سيلم اريتريان زبحالو طرح يدغفو نتي ابيها حج يدغفو ناساس كا يدغفو حوسواس كوينوس ايرد اناني
well كرداكم علو نفس وكف سب كاب جوز يزمحر قنع ممهر ابو ولادن ترخيبكا تفلت open minded تكون مالتي ديغا وصيخا اتي اب غزاخات ماخرو تسمعو خاني مسكالو ديسكاس تقبل مجمريا ነገር اب دياسبورا زلنا ابي نبرالنا اب عادي ديمقراسي بيس وغي ال باسي ال ولا ديفيجن تلوم ريبابليكان ديمقراطيك لوم ديفيجن تهالوم ولا تحراريقون كله اي باسو نيمي مخنياتو تولرانس الوم education الوم دحق فريدم الوم حجنا افريقيا عند حرمسيها حجز حتى زلو بي ابي زلو تشجر اب عدنا يدلو مجمريا حنت هاجر تخوينا بحقه من رحلوا اب هاجرنا حق دلو زياتا قداميتي حتى ولا تم هجرت زغفو من سيب زعم دلو اب هاجرنا كونستيتيوشن هاجر الله اب هاجرنا election الله اب هاجرنا freedom of speech الله اب هاجرنا freedom of religion الله it is the answer is no حجي اتوما ዝተማሃሩ ኣብዚ ዝቕመጡ ንህግደት ዝዝግፉ ካበይናይ መጽኦም ዝዝግፎ ዘሎ ንህግ እዚ ሎጂክ እዚ ካ ተቀርብ ስኻ all these things እንደሕልዩ it means there is freedom ፓርላማ ተኣኪቡ ይውስን ሃገር ቃቲ ክግበር ዝግቦ ኣክሽን ዝገብር in Eritrea ኣብ ኤሪትሪያ ታ ዝተሓተት ሃገር the last zero civil rights ዘይብላ ሃገር Eritrea how you support for this government the education alana zom kullum zugufo muhurat doctors bachelor degree masterate the law Eritrean why they supporting ንሶም ዝምልስወሱ ምክንያቱ ንሓደ government ተሕግዞ ተኾንካ all these criteria ስከማል ኣለዎ ኢሳያስ he was a leader from 1970 until now why የለን ንዑዝ ትኮ زون كلهم ما راح تزنوروا بريزن جروهم أسيروهم سوقيقهم هاديمهم واي نزي أخملو سيكولون زغلو ور مسقورة باب تزقور رزنا بري نسو يزوز جمرو كله مسيمان مجمرة جميرو دحرم السودان تواقيو دحرم الجبوتي تواقيو لاست مس إثيوبيا تواقيو إرتراويان وتادرات نيمان وسيدو مرسنرز ناي سعودية خوينم تواقيو واقو لو كساب حجلو نكونغو خيدم تواقيهم اب صومال كيدم الشباب حجزو نيرو واي اذا حنقول يبلوم كحطي يقولوا مدغافن زي مدغافن ايكونن the right thing ده خيدالو تهاجر يلن حجخا فاينالي سراويتنا مسابي تسامعوا نابيتيو نتغرايتيو كواغو كتواغا زاتو خلاخاكو هيوت خاتغفل فوفوات سلامتا هيوت غفل اذا حطي يقولون زيو نشعبيا مدغاف نجبها مدغاف تقاوم مدغاف ني منغست مدغاف هيكون تحطو اتي قنوع ነገር ስራሓሉ ነው የለን ስለምታ ኣብዚ ንሓን ሰዓት ደሞዝ ጎዲለህና ንማጎት 1 hour only 1 hour life አገልግሎት ኮይኖም ሰርሕሉ መንእሰያት ትምህርቲ የለን ኣብ ዓድና ዩኒቨርሲቲ ዝብሎ የለን ሕክምናታት ኩሉ ዓጽይዎ ዋይሉ ሓትትን ዝብል ዘሎ ትብዳ ኣብ ገዛ ኣብ ዓዲ ዘሎ ኦኬ ይፈርሕ ይእሰር ይቅተል ኣቦይ ሓጂ ሙሳ ከመይ ጌርካ ትምህርቲ እዚ ምስ ወልምሽ ተቐቲሎም ጠፊኦም ተኣሲሮም ጳጳስ ተኣሲሮም ምሽ መን ሓቲቱ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዘሎ ይሓተቱን እዞም ስለምንታይ ኣብዚ ኣቑሽቶም ዋላ ሰዓብቶም why they support the government ሃገር እኮ ኣነ ኣለኹ ኣብዛ ሰዓት እዚኣ ዘለኹዋ ኣብዛ ዘለኹዋ ቁኑዕ ነገር ተሰሪሑ እንተዘይርኤ why am supporting them ስለዚ እንታይ ትሕቶ ዘሎ እቲ ሽግር ዘሎ እዚ ዘለኹም መንእሰያት ዋላቶም ናይ ህግደት ዘሎ መንእሰያት ሓሪቃ ምዝራብ ዘይኮነ ፕሮፌሽናሊ ብፕሮፌሽን ኮፊልካ ፖይንትስ ናትኩም ኣምፁ እዚ ፖይንት ናና ተሃገርና ይኩላህና ንሕና ስለምንታይ ንቃወም ኣለና ክንነግረኩም ንስኹም ከዓ ስለምንታይ ትድግፉለኹም ንገሩና
ኣብዚ ክቕርቦም እዮም ሓደ መዓልቲ ኣብዚ ክቕርቦም እዮም 100 ሰብ ከምፅእ ክእለ YPFJ ህግደፍ ከምፅእ ምሳኹም ክንዛረብ ኢና
ሕጂ ኣነ ሕጂ ዛረበ ምስ ደቀይ ስለምንታይ ኢኹም ትቃወሙ ይብሉ ነይሮም ቀደም ማለት ሕጂ እዚ ኣርማችሁ ኣነ ነግሮም ነይረ ክሊርሊ ኣብ ሃገርና ሕጊ የለን ኢሌክሽን የለን ቤት ማእሰርቲ ዝኾነ ሰብ ርእይቶ እዚ ፍሪደም ኦፍ ስፒች የለን all these things analyze ባዕሎም ርእይዎ ኣብ ኢንተርኔት ቸክ ዘይገብርዎ ዝኩሉ ኣነ ዝብሎም ሓስያን ደቂ ኣይነግሮም እየ ሓስያ ኣነ ሓደ ምንቅስቃስ ኣይድግፍን እየ I have to tell them the right thing because they are future generation ኣነ ክፀንሕ ኣለኹ ሕጂ ፅባሕ ንጎ ንስኻ ቶም ደቀይ እኹም ዘለኹም ኣዛ ዓለም ማለት እዩ ስለዚ ፈሊጥኩም ክትውገሱ ከለኹም ዋላ ቶም ኣብ ህግደፍ ተታሊሎም ብስድሮኦም ኣሚኖም ገዛ ኣለና ዶ ዋላ ድኳን ኣለና ዶ ስመራ ኢሎም ተኣሽሙ ዝገብሩ what is ገዛ እንታይ ሃውስ ገዛ ሲ ሰብ እናጠፍእ ከሎ መታን ገዛ ኻልካ ንሰብ ተጥፍእ እዚ ብጣዕሚ ክራይም ቶም ወለዶም ዝገብርዎ ዘለዉ ቶም መንእሰያት ግን ቀስ ጌርኩም ክተረድእዎም they are wrong way ክኸዱ ከም ዘለዉ እዚ ሕጂ ዝኸይ ዘለዉ እውን ክሊርሊ ምግላፅ እዚ ነዚ ውግእ እዚ ኮንደምን ምግባር ንትግራይ ምድጋፍ ዘይምድጋፍ ኣይኮነን human right ሰብ ሲ ክጠፍእ ከሎ ሲ እናጠፈት ስሕቕ ታሰበይቲ ዝበልካ ሕጂ ሲ I think they have PTSD all of them
or ይኽፈሉ እዮም
no ክፈሉ ጥራሕ ዘይኮነ PTSD ኣለዎም ኣንቢቡ ዝኽእል ዝርኢ history ቁሩብ ዝፈልጥ መፅሓፍቲ ኣሎ ተፃሕፈ ብዛዕባ ኤርትራ ዝኸይ ዘሎ human rights ፅሕፎ ዘለዉ United Nations ፅሕፎ ዘሎ all these are you think they are lying ዝኩሉ ሸሓት ዝኾኑ መንእሰይ ኣብ ባሕሪ ዝኣት ዘሎ እንታይ ኮይኑ ዓዱ ፀልዩ እዩ no እቲ administration the worst administration ስለ ዝኾነ እዩ
ናይ ብሓቂ እዚኣ
ዳቱ ከም ኤግዛምፕል ኢትዮጵያ ብመለስ ክትምራሕ ከላ of course ንህና ሽግር ኣለና እንድዩ ኣብ ታሪክ ናይ ሃይለ ስላሴ ኣብ ታሪክ ናይ መንግስቱ ዘይተረኣየ ምዕባለ ኣብ ኢትዮጵያ ተራእዩ we like it or not we can ክንፀሎም ንኽእል ኢና ብዘለና ምስ ዝነበረ ርክባት ዋላ ብተፈላለየ ኣብ ተቃውሞ ናኹም ዝነበሩ ዋላ ድኽመት ንህና እንተሃለወ ገለገለ ፀገማት ከም ዝበለ ንፈልጥ ኢና ንዓዶም ግና ማዕቢሎም እዮም ኤርትራ تا كونستيشن ጥራሕ ኣብ ሃገርና ነይራ ተትኸውን በኣ ዝመርሕ መምሕዳር ነይሩ ተትኸውን ኣበይን በፅሐት ውሑዳት ኢና ንጡፋት ኢና ብዙሕ ነገር መፍረና እዚ ስርዓት እዚ ግን he lacked everything ስለዚ ነዚ ከመይ ገይሮም ድግፍዎ I don't know
ናይ ብሓቂ
question mark ለን ማለት እዩ
okay so no thank you excellent ፅቡቅ ጌርካ ገሊፅካያ ባባ ማሕሙድ ኣብ ዓድና ወተሃደር ነርካ ብዙሕ ርኢኻ ኢኻ ብዙሕ ሰብ ዝሓለፈ ኩሉ ርኢኻ እቲ ክልተ ነጥቢ ኣለኒ ክልተ questions ኣለኒ ንዓኻ ባባ ማሕሙድ the first question is እቲኦም martyrs ናትና ከም ባባ ናተይ ናይ ቦይ ከም ዝሓለፉ ዋላ ELF ዋላ EPLF ኮኑ እሱ history እሱ ኮይኑ ናብዚ መፂና ማለት እዩ is it ሕጂ ዝኸውን ዘሎ እዚ ምዕማፅ ከምዚ ዋላ proof whether there's proof or not it doesn't matter ንፈልጥ many people ይብሉ ነይሮም ብዙሕ ኤርትራዊ ትግራይ ኣተውን ይብሉ ነይሮም ኣነ ይቃለስ ነርኖ ኣትዮም ኣለዉ ስለ ይፈልጥ ይርኢ ኣለኹ ይብል ነይረ so no they're not in Tigray now the song ተቀይሩ now to song ቀይሮሞ now እቲኦም ህግደፋዊ proof የለን ዝብሉ ዘብሎ ኣዝከት ኢሎም ሕጂ genocide proof የለን ይብሉ ኣለዉ okay maybe ስእሊ የለን maybe ግን testimony ንሰማዕ ኣለና ነቲኦም ህዝቢ ዝሕረዱ ዝቅተሉ ዘለዉ እቲኦም martyrs ናትና ቀደም ዝሓለፉ ኢሳያስ ዝቀተሎም ሕጂ ንሕሪኢና ኣለውስ ከመይ እዩ ዝስምዖም ሕማቅ ደም ዝርኢና ዘለዉ እቲኦም diaspora ሕማቅ ዝርኦ maybe ስምዖም ካብ heaven ዳርአዩናስ ሓሚቅና እዮም ዝርኢና እቲ number 1 question ዘለኒ ባባ ማሕሙድ ካብ ዓድና ዝጎየዩ ኩሎም ዝሃደሙ all the ones that ran from our country ምሽ ከመይ ገይሮምስ ኣብዚ መፅኦም ፀጊቦም በሊዖም ፒዛ ሃምበርገር ሮጊኖም ይድግፉ ክእሉ ነቲ መንግስቲ how can they support the dictator if they're here eating hamburgers and cheeseburgers if the reason why they came to America was because of him or Germany or whatever unmute gabara bajaha Baba Mahmoud
mute okay no so etiom ናይ ቀደም ስዋኣትና ተጋደሉ ከመይ ገይሮም ይርኡና ነቲኦም መንእሰያት ጀነሬሽን ሕጂ ዘሎ ትብለና ኣለኻ ሓንቲ ሕቶ is that what you're asking
yes I'm asking all our martyrs ከመይ ስማዓኩም እቲኦም ተቃሊስኩም በጥይት ሃሪምኩም ናብዚ መፅኢኩም ዓድና ስቲል ተሸይጣላ ዓድና ስቲል ቃለሳላ ወላ ሓንቲ ተቀየረን ሕጂ ወርስ ኮይኑ ከመይ ይስማዓኩም
well መጀመሪያ እቲ behavior ና እቲ ኤርትራውያን አገዳስነት ኣለዎ ኤርትራውያን ሕጂ ምስ ሻዕብያ ዝነበሩ ንሰብ ዝፀርፉ ዝነበሩ ወላ ንክቀትሉ ከማን يعني عقمن تراخيبهم منقست فريهم دا حق فريهم أبزع الدنبر إذا ولزدليو زنبرو لومي وحدات يوم maybe less than 1% you إتي نا هجر قداي أقوي هو عمز علوه تعدي 5 أفئة إلو نبتقاومه تغيره جن حو بيتسابو غازو غاليو مستتنكفه يو مبزحتي تقاومو خينو سلازي تتقاومو ذاته حافو يتقاومايو غاليو because my personal interest تنكفو صبات اللو بزحات لليوم تسرعات ايتبلين يا ايلوم ها تسرعات زي قدفلوكا one of the things is سبحة ديموم بذي بحري قاليوم يموتوا بد ديزرتنا ليبيا قال لهم يقتلوا مسز كله ابتاع عدنا السايلم مسبس السايلم مسرخبو انت كان خيدو باس خيدوم كمان تاتا اسناي في ساين قبل شايف this is one in Norway example is هذا example كتاب طبعا قصه سبسا خبوم كمان اوكي كالي إتي تاجاجي زلو جيجا زرعيه زردة تبلو قدم جيجا يقبل خلو حج مستردة أنا تاجاجي قدم جيجا نيرة حج كنت تردي إنيو I miscalculate something يلوز من لس يلي مخناتو زي كم حمقة يريوها شايف كم سيلف كريتيسايز غيرهم ترديهم خنز مسؤول زي كم حمقة يعني كاب آخر لتحت خوينو كاب آخر زيادة قدلو خوينو نفسه سلسل سمعه إذا آخر كونفيس يقبروا عليه إذا حجيز له generation selfish you right
absolutely
okay is not dedicated okay Martha, you can't generalize the whole population thing but there's a lot of them ولا ابتقزوا كمان حدا بزعبة تحقر كمان أي مهرون يعني إيش رأيك نساء تقنيات الزارب ده no يتزاربني مو إرتراوها to that level إذا يوم سي أبوتاتهم تقادلت زنبرو دقولوا لهم يعني they ask you if you don't speak Tigrinya how you are Eritrean إذا يوم أبوتاتهم تقادلهم أب قارسي أب وشعبية يقادلوا ولا أب زباحليتات يقادلوا ولا بجبهة يقادلوا تقادلهم قل كامو سنة زعبة يوم it is superiority ناتهم خريص للزليل سلازي I think iti generation iti abzi bota abzi generation iti كعلب يفلت انت زنبر iti dedication iti ما يحبون نير ذاتك ما يحبون نير شايف so قن أنا انتايكبل ازي generation ازي a lot of them brainwashed خوينهم اي تردؤون تاريخ طبق تصحيفه اي رخبون ازي ابزي مثالي كب عدمناتكم ابزي ثمانياتات سبز مسي تنقلوا اي كب صدرهم اي رخبون اب literature اي رخبون اب حتى بوتا اي رخبون شايف they were only listening to one tube هذا التيوب يسمونه وي ناي شعبيايو وي ناي تقاومو ناي تتقاومو أثر يبلون ذاته مخنياته نن حدهم يوم زبالعوه شايف so they end the balance at zero you know you go 2 steps حدا حريت كلته go step يقول تكمو you zero بتاع initial بوتا تبع تملس
Absolutely.
انت يوم قل بحساب يوم efficiency اللي هو شعبية ابتاز دليو علامة have efficiency اوكي درار تقادلاي تباهيلو سبعي تتمتي سبعي متي كله تقرشناته خفل نو اللي ما في لعب شايف سلازي they have efficiency we have deficiency يوم تقاوم ذبحنا حجي زي young generation كقبرو زدليو انتليو there is a lot of intellectuals history زفلتو psychology زفلتو لا إذا عد psychology فلتو إحنا يمكن جيناتكم psychology ينفلتونا ناينيو psychology زفلتو practically زرعيو خالي population كمو عينة studies زقبرو اللو نزيهم كسمعوا كخلوا اللوم حجي بايتها نزي قبل اللو بايتها نزي ودا إزي هذا speaker همتيها زي زارب ميتي كلت ميتي قبل يوم ما سيد حرمز يوم اتليست يتقارسي يقلصوا كله ولا شعبيه ولا انت يسمو كي اخفى ذاته تتقبرين ولا يتقبرين نيروس اللي زخونه يقلصوا بس ياتي من اسي كردا يخليه ترديو maybe must education زلو ابزع عديو ابزع عدل اليو زلو ناس انتن practically زي نايتران برايون constitutional law بكو they have reference اي ذا حلفوس الذي ولا قبل كغير كاي ابل ابخال عدي خمسة ترانفز وانا بريزيدنت اوكي سراويت يلا يلوت سراويت ياتوا قلنا ابزي كونستيتيوشن زلزلوا هياتوني سلازي اتمن اسي maybe more psychology راتهم زردا ناي قدم psychology زردا اتفاكت زنقوم نيوترال ثبات كما تقوم له مش ناي تقاوموا سايد فقط ولا ناي شعبيه سايد فقط هيقدف سايد تي خنسي اتلي كل التريو لو I want to talk the truth زبل they should be invited for a symposium like this or lecture بس يوم سب you know كابزيوم كابو بعلوم يميمي okay that is what I'm saying but تقاومه is part of the يعني كابت سقياتنا it has been part of it يعني خلاته أي مرحلة نفسهم كم يروحوا أي قدر فتهم من تزب مقاقلاتهم what the بيان has 5 people I have 20 people that has 30 people خمسة قلنا تمقاقلنا وما بحد خاخن سرع يخالنا نلفلف لا وشعبيا نبل خمسة السودان هجي كلنا قرمز أنا قوم زيهم إسلامي يوم زيهم إسلامي يوم خمو غيرهم نيبلو ونسهم ذاته كمهم زقددوا خوينهم سلذي this is I think where your زي بوتانات كحجي غير كذا الله يمكن you may have to invite many from different people ولا يقاوموها ولا يقدف يخونوا ولا خالي يخونوا. At least they can listen what other people, neutral people say. That
Absolutely.
could, yeah.
Oh, so to Kamala Salka, yes, you're absolutely right. I want to bring in Higdafawi. I want to bring in Tagaru. I want to bring in everyone. I want to have 100 people on this so we can share ideas and ways forward. But Tedros, Teddy, are you around?
Give me a few minutes, Dave.
Okay, I will wait till you land. I will ask Beanie Man the next question.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Okay, sure.
All right, Ishi.
right.
So Beanie, are you on?
I'm
back.
Baba, thank you. Beanie, you on?
Wallah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question and then you can bring in whatever facts you wanted to speak on. So the question for you, and you can just shoot it out real quick, is would you say that Higdafawi of America's allows harimam na diaspora zimatsu? Can be tomorkis, how do you say temberkichom? Ne sai saforki, neoholos temberkichom. And they serve him come geta yuriwa. Why?
أنا like نعم بقولهم كزاربة كلني like I cannot represent Higdef. I was never in their meeting. Their meeting here in America is very private, only for members. Even if you go to the Eritrean, when there is a Gabra Michael here or somebody from the government is here, it's only private. Only members can ask questions, and it's also designated question. The same way when Isaias is sitting in Eritrea and he's being questioned, he already gives the question that he needs to be asked. So those members are very private, and I believe a lot of them, they mean good by joining. And I'll tell you, because I was approached the same way. Like it's almost like a gang association. They ask you, do you believe in the following thing? They'll literally tell you that you're going to be the future. You're going to be the leader of Eritrea. So we need to be in this group if you want to be the leader of Eritrea. You can go back and lead the country. But I call them Cash App. I call them Venmo, because all they do is they're telling them, send money, raise money. There's nothing, they cannot make any change in the government, because Isaias made it clear the people that lead the country fought with him 30 years. And right now, I don't even want to focus on Isaias because I know his health. He's not a person that can lead the country, but he's the face of Eritrea. So medically, he literally sleep 12, 10 hours a day, So
okay.
There are, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. So I know so I will come back to you, I promise. So we're gonna give this 20 more minutes maximum. I'll tell you what, 30 minutes can huboina. If you guys gotta get off, just you can leave, but just turn off the mic and the video. Who cares? As much as we want. Again, we don't want to go too long where people, can't hang in there. So before I ask the next question, Baba Bayana was What's the question? Because Bina, I have two questions after this for you.
Okay. It's a ካብ ኤርትራ ሃዲሞም ባሕሪ ሰጊሮም ኣብ ስደት ምስ ኣተው ኣሳይለም ዓተቱ ምስ ተቐበልዎም ስለምንታይ እዮም ናብቲ ኤምባሲ ኸይዶም ተጣዒስና ኢሎም ተንበርኪኾም ዘገልግልዎ ዝብል ሕቶ ብጣዕሚ ኣገዳሲ እዚኣ መጀመርያ ዞም መንእሰያት እዚኣቶም ብቆልዑቶም ከለዉ ብዛዕባ ህግደፍን ቃልሲ ህግደፍን ጉዕዞ ህግደፍን እዮም ዝፈልጡ ታሪክ ናይ ኤርትራ ናይ ህግደፍ ናይ ህዝባዊ ግንባር ታሪክ ህዝባዊ ግንባር ከዓ ምስም ብሬን ዋሽ ዝገብርዎም ይኣስርዎም ይኽትክትዎም ኮታ ብዘይ ገንዘብ የስርሕዎም እዚ ላይፍ እዚኦም ሓሊፎም so these people are sick psychologically depression ኣለዎም ካብኡ ምስ ወፁ ከዓኒ ብሱዳን ክንደይ ግፍዕታት የጓንፎም እንደገና ንስድሮኦም ቤተሰቦም ዘለዎ ኣብ ደገ ገንዘብ ስደዱካ ቤት ማእሰርቲ ይፀፍዕዎም ይቆትልዎም የብልዎም
إذن هذا problem عليه بسيناء جيرهم تخيلهم اتنا يبدوين شجرالو بليبيا جيرهم تخيلهم كاتنا يبحر شجرالو حجتهم زعاتو زغلو شجرات أب حنقولهم تسعين له كل جزء إسرائيل ليس دك إسم قالوا يبهروا شجرالو مالي كله زفوت وانا قريلا أبوت أسايلم مساعتو اتتقاومو كم محمد زغلصو organized يكونه هذا عينة political ممرحية بلون هذا عينة السرارة حي بلون ولا أنا بحد ودي بتخيلهم ناتو تاريخ يقول صلهم نات حد ودي بتخيلهم كا نات تاريخ يقول صلهم فحز بله كندلو عسرته عسرة يسنبت أبس مرة زلوا صلاعي حدي زهرمو حجي أبزي حنقولهم تايخون كتصروي كلون زين مسوخاني تقول بركة 3 عامات 4 عامات غيرهم مسمصو مسدرهم بالتليفون يراقبوا يبلو بقى دينا فيقي حوينا فيقي وزترف لهم كاني تطعسنا لهم ياتو حجي اذا كل شجر زين انا شجري بفلاي ناي تقاوم شجر سودان والشريفاي 25 زبلو بوتا ابزيلو نحنا استقاموا على بمستير نتوم هيمان ترافيكين زغبرو خاو زوزو زبيدي يخونو ولا ات نايس اكشوالي 99 كان بيتنا هيدف حلفتي امي نزيم كوقا صرو ما يكالو ايزس نغا حجي مسبله طميو تقبيلك عنقولو اندحر زي تخل كونكا ايفلطكاني ولا بوليتيكان تزاربكا دحر حمشاي مسرع نفوطنا عنا اوش تخلو تقامايكم زلو يفوطنيو حمشاي مسرع كاني جهاري يمدو كله تقاماي حمشاي مسرع جهار يجي ككمناتو ميزان مزنو كريستيان تخوينو وا جهاد زيوم دحر الدنيا قتل تزريوم حماق نغرو زغبرتهم حماقات يريوا حج كله تدميرو مسن اسنت ناقشتو مخانهم من الملاي نورومن دحر كاني مس حكمنا خايتوسدون زو كل شجر تحويسو ناو يخدو ناعو يغرغدو حجي ولا انت ململكايوم ولا انت نغركايوم ولا انت رداخين اسمعو خانيم ግን ዝኽብል ከሎ ኩሎም ኣይኮኑን ክንደይ በላሕቲ ከኣለው ኣብ ትምህርቲ ኣትዮም ተማሂሮም ፈሊጦም ማዓት ምዕብልናታት ዘምፅሉ ሕጂ ነዞም ሰባት እዚኣቶም ንሕና ኣይኮንና ክንቅይሮም ንኽእል ንሕና ኣይኮንና ክንረድኦም ንኽእል እቶም ምስኦም ዝነበሩ እሞ ከዓ ዝተረድኦም ዝበልሑ ዝበሰሉ ነቲ መድረኽ ነቲ ኩነታት ነቲ ፖለቲካ ሃገርና ዝረኣዩ ንሳቶም ንዕኦም ክትዕድምዎም ዘለኩም ንዕኦም ዓዲምኩም قريم بميديكال نبعلو PTS دو قدات كم يقرأوا هندل كقولوا خمسة لهم من المال كدليومي من هار كدليومي قال أي كأني بزعبا بوليتيكا نا إيرترا كم تي أب سواز تمهرو زي كونه historically كاب 1890 جميرو كاب تليان جميرو تا إيرترا إلى مسمسات بديحرونا 4 بديحرونا 5 بديحرونا 6 بريطاو قال تخمي قر جميرو إذا خمسنا جبركا بحدا معلتي بخلطة معلتي زي كونه long training نا جبركا خط إيرام لخا بحلاي سلزي أبزو وانزي فريحهم أنت زي كونه تكون هذا هيردوون ما نتاكونه نيروم إيم سلزي خمس إزيز أمثلة orientation مهاب weekend كونكولون ده عدمكا بفلاي بتوم من ساعات أبلوت إذا أمنو وما كانوا political elite الماتشور زغانو بوم غير كاتم لهم ما حدا هاي يسمعك نحنا خاني توسعنا بنخدم مالتي في زحلفنا يا تمكرو thank you
David, can I say something to Baba Bayana real quick?
Yeah.
حجيت مالي مشيت موسيوم زبال كام قدات يزارم نيرم سقدف members you know ببزحت يوم hopeless and helpless يوم انت يبلوني قال انت what other choice قالنا انت choice قال لنا إتي حنتن نقدر ما contradict الجبرو قال choice مستقارو خينا دينا حواتنا هنبأس حجد ما مس أباك إننا نبأس على مش so انتهى choice لنا what options لنا what أي خوي الناس مس أنصار هجرنا تخفافينا أب media خوينا كنبأس دو إلهم you know تحريد ما كم تتردو أبتناتكم جزين ناي أبوين ناتكان ناي محمودن زنبرة بداي مش ክልተ ኣሕዋት ተባኢሶም ተቐታቲሎም ንሱ ኣግሂውና ክሳብ ሕጅስ ይኣክል ኢና ኩለና ሙሽ ካብ ንበኣስ ኢሎም መብዛሕትኦም ኤርትራ ነዚኣ ሃገር ገዲፎማ ወፂኦም እዮም ሙሽ ግን ከመይ ጌርና ኢና ንሕና ኣነ ዳዊት ንስኹም ትምዕዱና ኩለና ብሓንሳ ተኣኪብናስ change ክንገብር ማለት that's what I would like to ask
it's possible ያ ንሱ ይከኣል እዩ ግን እንታይ እዩ ዘድል ዘሎ መጀመርያ ብዛዕባ ናይዚ መድረክ እዚ ኮንትራዲክት ቅድሚ ምምዛንካ ኣብ ሃገርና እንታይ ኣሎ ንስኻ ትመዝን ንስኻ ኣብ አንድ ሕራብ ሓደ መፂኻ ከመይ ጌርና ንቃለስ how we can struggle against this regime brutal regime ኢልካ ከዓኒ ፕላን ትገብር ናቶም ትሰምዑ ከመይ ጌርካ ትቃለስ ትሰምዑ ንስኻ ተሪኦም ኦፕሽን ሕጂ ፍልሊ እንድሕር ልይኩም ታትፈልየኩም ዘላ ተቐምጥዋ ጥራሕ ዲክቴተር ምዃኑ ፀረ ህዝቢ ምዃኑ ትፈልጡ ዘን እናቀራረብኩም ምስቲ ፕሮግረስ እናገበረ ከይድ ስለ ዝኽእል ጥራሕ ኣይትረሓሓቁ instead of fighting against each other just ኮፍ ኢልኩም ዲስካስ ክትገብሩ እንድሕር ጀሚርኩም ዘን the line is going to come at that
I think what بيان أنا قربتي خوسق I think إذا أمسك ذاتهم قربتي kind of depression تحرر لهم خينو kind of hopelessness تحرر لهم خينو and they are frustrated كبتي مباسن أبناء الحتكة and they are not seeing a hope of the future أيريهم خينو أبزع عدوهم مصيهم مبزحتهم education اللهم يكونون صدرهم بنيو دقهم هديبهم تباهلهم غنزب يحتتوا غازهم يقدفوا قلب يدليو خابهم so they couldn't find also good jobs that they can work on it so أبزون حدا عينات خالي second type of depression is at home إذا هم سبزهم كسمعهم تخوينكا but still they believe أبتاع هقدف أبتاع they believe أبا مملكنا سياس مخناتو خمسة عور صب نيرو إلهم حنت كبز ولد عور نيروسي نذكر سي حنت عيني خفت اللي إلهم مينوسي عينه مستخفت درهود إلهم كا دحار قبيلو دحار مركب مزيان فريد مزيان تقول خند درهود تخوني بني لهم بابور مزيان ببحر انت خند درهود تخوني بني لهم كا تجي إذا ني dictatorship na حماق na سياس you don't mention for them because they believe on it هذا سبسك تقرقوا دحر مزيخا صح حماق إخا سراقة إخا قال لي هاي الكاي يتمدونها okay you come to him the area we can accept it okay نحن ناسي كم إريتراويان أبوتاتنا ميتهم أحواتنا ميتهم مثلا كنركب أب إريترياسي بسلام كنبرسي يقبعناي نعخي يقبعك نعي يقبعني نتوني يقبوي سرعات من قصتخ نقبر كومبيتيشن مس إثيوبيا ولا تيوم قرابتها حقرات مسهم كنقبر إريتريا يقبعي إذا هبتك بحقرنا وصي خند حاجة سب ولا كلت سب وصدوه نقول حزبك نكون أبيات تمهرتي هوسبيتالات ترانسبورتيشن نعون تخيلو إلكا خبزيات تمثل أبزيتات أمان الكا تحار إذا خمي يقروا يمثلون بعلم تحطوا همزولكا جن اتين السوم زأمنوه نسوم كالت زقبروب سب قابو دحر جميركا اتعامل قدنا عم فللا حس كايا مالتي جن إذا تولرانس يدليو تتعوارنت يدليو تحرق عن كذا لك ختابعون لك وخمسة قبابي so خمسة relationship build تكبر إذا relationship build النا قبركا كابهم سمارت اللوز ردو زبلو نبع لهم دحر تخلي حطوتات يمرحوا خاقن دحري اتين السوم زملخوه اتين السوم زأمنوه تيسترين السوم يعني كلامز قبرو دحر اتاقر كا كابتما جمر تاقزي the line of communication broke غير كاي مالته
Okay, so Gashala Teddy any time can Hawala and then I'll get back to you, Bini. Teddy, since you're just getting off work and joining us, just give brief description of how you were in, Sawa or your experiences. And then the question for you is, I know my question for you, Teddy, is, since I started this journey, which has only been a couple months, right? Because, you know, because I have the ability to speak now. Why are there so many diaspora children and people below the age of 50 supporting my ideology? If سلامتا يدقفوني قلعوت تم diaspora اندحر
نعم دقفها ويس نهدف
against هكدف يدقفوني اندحر بزح صبوق غير يردقومني to politica.
Okay. So, yeah, your question was like it was vague, Dave. So like tell me in English. Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you in English. Why do all the diaspora children and kids, right now I have like over 10,000 kids on my side against Higdef. Why is it suddenly becoming cool to dislike Higdef?
Okay, so, okay, I'll start, you know, like Abzaadi, I don't really know much in diaspora. I only know a few, and those few are like, they mostly keep to themselves. They are not very active politically, you know. So I can't really answer that question much, you know. If I'm gonna guess, I'm going to say like maybe they are growing more aware of the situation in our country. You know, they are aware of all the human rights abuses, of all the migrants coming over like me, and you know, of all our users like drowning in the Mediterranean Sea, suffering in Sudan, Ethiopia, and many other countries. So, you know, due to social media now, like it's very hard to be unaware or to ignore the situation in Eritrea, right? A few years ago, it might have been like difficult to know what's going on, but now it's not. Unless you're willingly being ignorant, it's very hard to ignore the situation in Eritrea. But to go back, Nabnati Tomokro, Sawa Galamelagan, you know, I mean, maybe Nakum Abeti, Abotati Abzalhum, Hadish Kon Helgen, like Kemzinati generation, Buzahat Alana Ashahat. Ana Sawa's word Kulugze, Ab Kemzi, like kind of critical Gizena Eritrea, Sawa Rida, Ab ኤርትራ ትልወጠሉ ዝነበረት ግዜ ብፍላይ በቲ ኩነታት ናይ ወያነ ኩናት ዝነበረ ዓቃብ ሰላም ኣብ ኤርትራ ኣትዮም ውዕል ሰላም ተፈራሪሙ ገለመለ ዝነበረሉ ግዜ ሳዋ ወሪደ 2003 ማለት እዩ እጂ ኣነ ሳዋ ክወርድ ከለኹ ብድሌተይ ወሪደ at that time you can call me supporter ናይ መንግስቲ ኤርትራ ክትብለኒ ትኽእል ኢኻ ምክንያቱ ኣነ ኣብ ግዜ ናፅነት ዝዓበኹ ቆልዓየ መንእሰየ ህዝባዊ ግንባር ንዓይ it was everything ማለት እዩ ኣብ ኤርትራ ከለኹ ኣቦታተይ ኣሕዋተይ you know ኣዝማደይ ብዙሓት ዝተጋደሉ ኣለዉ and እቲ ናይ ናፅነት ምምፃእ ስንዓና ዝሐጉሰና ነገር እዩ ነይሩ ብናእሽቱ ክንዓቢ ከለና ኣብ ኤርትራ ማለት እዩ ንደርግ ኣነ ኣይፈልጦም ነ very few images እዩ ዘለኒ ንደርግ ናፅነት እየ ናይ ኤርትራ ዝፈልጥ ማለት እዩ እጂ ኣነ ሳዋ ክወርድ ከለኹ anyway ትምህርቲ ኢለ ወሪደ ትምህርቲ ናይ 12th grade ኣብ ሳዋ ምስ ተቐየረ ወሪደ ከም ሰበይ ማለት እዩ ግን ኣብኡ ዝፀንሓኒ ነገር ቁርብ it wasn't to my expectation anyways I was seeing some like you know things that I didn't like ዘጋጥመና ዝነበረ ማለት እዩ ኣብ ሳዋ yeah I mean the way we were treated ማለት እዩ right like compared to our treatment ብዙሕ ካልእ ቦታታት ኣሎ ካብ ናህና ዝኸፍእ ቦታታት መዕለም ቦታታት ኣሎ ብኤርትራ ካብ ሳዋ ዝኸፍእ ማለት እዩ ግን ኩሉ ሰብ ነናቱ ተሞክሮ እንዲ ዘሎ ኣነ ናተይ ተሞክሮ ኣብ ሳዋ ተዛማዲ ፅቡቅ እዩ ነይሩ ግን there was also like a lot of abuses በቶም ዓለምቲ ዝወርድ ማለት እዩ ኣብቶም ተማሃሮ ዘይንቡር ዝኾነ መቕፃዕቲ ወይ ኤክስትሪም መቕፃዕቲ ኮሚታት ምሻሎ
Can you repeat that one? Can you repeat that sentence in English?
Like extreme punishments, right?
For the soldiers, the young soldiers?
Yeah, and we're not really soldiers, right? We were sent to be we are sent to Sawa to complete our 12th grade education. but we are also being trained to be national service, right? So we are trained in the military training for 4 months, but we were sent to Sawa primarily to finish our 12th grade education, right? So we are students and we are also like military conscripts, right, at the same time. But we know for sure after we graduate high school, we were not going to stay in the military. That was our assurance anyways, right? And most of us went to EIT, to Mainefi. That was the primary college at that time. University of Asmara was closed. I mean, it wasn't going to accept any new students from that point on. There were students, but those students were not part of the War Cyclo program high school in Sawa anyways. So after that, I went to Mainefi. I stayed in Mainefi 3 years. I did not like Mainefi. I hated Mainefi worse than Sawa because Sawa, you kind of accept it as a military training site. So you kind of accept the challenges that come with Sawa. You kind of accept the military rule. You kind of accept the military way of life in Sawa. But EIT, my expectation was it's going to be like a boarding school, like a boarding college. But to the contrary, it was another kind of Sawa. There were military trainers pretending to be civilians. So basically what the government did at that time was they brought all those, like half of Sawa military trainers to College Mainefi, and they were acting as civilians, kind of college employees. They were acting like our kind of, what do you call, like school employees anyways. So they would count us, they would kind of usher us to the cafeteria. They were kind of our caretakers, right? But increasingly, they used to act like Sawa trainers, the same thing. They used to beat us, they used to punish us. And remember, this is like a 5-year engineering and technology school. Like it's supposed to be the epitome of Eritrean education. But we are being beaten, we were being like, tied up, punished with like extreme military punishments, right? So how can your mind accept engineering theories and advanced like engineering theories and then go out and deal with like military trainers, right, punishing you? So basically, to me and many of my friends, school out of the window. I wasn't really focusing on school when I was in EIT. I'm naturally a political person. Anything that happens in my environment, if I see injustice in my surrounding, I just cannot focus on anything else. I just focus on the injustice that's happening around me. That's just me. There were other friends who focused on school, who didn't care what was happening around them. Maybe they had other priorities. And I applaud them. They graduated, and some of them are here in the United States with me. Many of them are opposition. I'm proud to say many of my round are opposition. I'm from 17th round, and many of them are in the opposition. I'm really proud of that.
Can you explain 17 round, what year, group, or whatever that is?
Okay, 17th round is like, so Sawa counts in rounds. So starting in 1994, first round, and every 6 months or so, a new round would go to Sawa to be trained. So by the time I went to Sawa in 2003, it was 17th round. I believe now it's somewhere around 30 something rounds, 35 or 34, I'm not really sure. But anyways, my round was like,
And the last round was 34.
34, okay, yeah. So like I said, my round, we were like, I would like to call it special because we're the first of War Cyclo program education in Sawa, and we were very optimistic when we went to Sawa, very optimistic. I can say all the students who went after us, many of them are not that optimistic about Sawa because they heard what was going on up from us, from our experiences. So obviously you don't have a choice. If you want to go to college and try out your future, kind of help your future, you have no choice. You have to go to Sawa. If you don't go to Sawa, there is no higher education opportunity for you. So if you want to kill your future, you don't go to Sawa, right? You can't stay in your home, you can hide, but then they will catch you anyways, and they will send you to another military training site, which is, by the way, much worse than Sawa. Sawa is in many ways a modern military camp. So it has modern facilities, like, you have bed, you have like supplies, given to you. Like we used to get issued like soaps and stuff like that. And there were shops too in Sawa that you can buy supplies for yourself. But in some other military training sites, like the ones that were there anyway at that time, like we are Klima and other places, that's unthinkable. It's like living in a jungle, and also if you're ብትግርኛ ከነገረካ ጉፉፋት ዝበሃሉ ሰብ ማለት ጉፉፋት ተገፊፍካ እንተ ኸድካ I don't have a word for English, right? Like round-ups. Yeah, you can't say round-ups, right? If you were rounded up and if you were taken to a military site, that's the worst that can happen to you. So ጉፉፍ ተኮይንካ በኤርትራ, you're treated like an enemy person almost. Let me tell you, this is true. If you're gufuf, yeah, you're not treated like an Eritrean citizen. You're going to be treated like a prisoner, almost like a prisoner of war. So ኣብ ሳዋ ከለና ጉፉፋት ዘምፅኦም ነይሮም ኣብ ሳዋ ማለት እዩ temporarily. They used to walk bare feet, ጥራሕ እግሮም. They used to get beaten. They used to get tied up by rope, in many ways for punishment, including girls. The same thing to women too. So
Really?
Imagine, yeah, the same thing. I have seen this with my eyes,
So what constitutes gufufat? Somebody who tried to run away?
Yeah, somebody who tries to run away.
Deserter.
Somebody who doesn't, somebody who doesn't follow the government's call for the military service or whatever, or someone who doesn't willingly go to Sawa, or so that's my experience. Anyway, after Mainefi, I left Mainefi. I went to actually quit Mainefi. Like I said, Mainefi was in itself in very bad administration at that time. I believe many of the things I'm telling you now has been improved to somewhat. Now Mainefi is in somewhat better administration. So now at this time, the incidents I'm telling you that doesn't exist anyways. It's under military. It's not under military administration anymore. But at the time I was in, many students quit school, and many tried to leave Eritrea. Some of my friends were caught. Some of them were like sent to jail, for years. I didn't attempt to run away. I tried to stay as long as I can in Mainefi. So that's the thing. So in Eritrea, the youth has learned to kind of adapt with the situation, right? So you try to make the best of the situation you find yourself in. So if you're good in school, it's better to stay in school. That's the best way you can, stay in good situation in Eritrea. If you're not good in school, in high school, then your future is already decided for you. You're going to be sent to the military, and then your future is probably Heiltat. That's the fronts, right? And then, from that on, it's downward, it's downhill. So let's say those soldiers now who find themselves in Tigray, do you know who they are? It's most probably the poorest of Eritreans, the underprivileged, the ones from countryside. And if you find from Asmara, maybe very few. Let me tell you, I was in Heiltat. When I left Mainefi, like I said, I quit Mainefi. So basically at this point, I'm a deserter, right? So after deserting for 8 months, I was captured in Asmara. I was captured by military police. I was imprisoned for about 2 weeks in a police station. And like all these things I'm telling you, it's like normal in our Eritrea to Eritrean use. It's normal. But to an American, it's strange. to be detained for 2 weeks without any accusation, any lawyer or anything,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
So yeah, 2 weeks in a police precinct with real criminals. By the way, there were real criminals with me in the cells, like who stole something, gold or somewhat, you know.
Murders.
And anyways, yeah, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, there were real accused criminals with me, anyways. But I did not commit any, you know, crime punishable by any court. So I was there for 2 weeks, and then they transferred me to another military prison called Dekamhara. I went to Dekamhara. Actually, before that, I was in give me the name, Brescia, the Adabeto. It's one of the worst prisons in around Asmara. One of the worst. I stayed in Adabeto 4 days. I was lucky. Some people stay 1 month. There is no showers. There is no cleaning yourself. You pee in a big barrel. So basically, you're treated like an animal in Adabeto. And that was my first scene of very gross. That was my first testimony of very gross human rights abuse. And this is in Asmara, in the capital. It's like Adabeto is like a few kilometers outside of Asmara. It's really a suburb of Asmara. And like I was with 500 Eritreans inside a hall designed to store. It's a warehouse basically. It was designed to store food or, you know, any other commodity. It wasn't designed to house humans. It had very high windows. It did not have any windows at eye level, so we don't see outside. And we were like enclosed in this big warehouse, 500 humans, very dirty, sweat. You know, you can imagine the feels that can collect in such a situation, you know. And I was for 4 days, and I was really like, when I was let out and sent to my unit in the Kamhara, I was really happy. Imagine I'm being sent to to the military, but to me it was like freedom, because you know you cannot wish that place on your worst enemy, like, you know. And anyways, from the Kamhara to Tsorona, I'm gonna just shorten it. You know, I don't want to really speak about myself too long, because it's just an experience, and mine is actually very, very mild experience. I'm pretty sure there are thousands and thousands of Eritreans who have experienced it much worse than me. Maybe they don't want to speak about it, but mine is not it's actually not a bad experience at all compared to other Eritreans. Anyway, I was in an artillery unit, like light artillery, like a mortar unit in Tsorona for 3 months, and then I was in Assad for the rest of my stay in the military. And then, you know, I left Eritrea like everybody else. I left to Djibouti, and from Djibouti I came to America. One thing I can say about my stay in the Eritrean military is, despite all the bad, despite all the hardship you experience being part of the Eritrean military, what really gets you going on is like, it's your peers, you know, your men at arms, like who are with you. So basically, I learned that to be an Eritrean is really to be the best of your, like to be the best, to be at your best in the war situation, right? So like, this is why I defend now our military. This is why I defend it now, because what I learned there is like, my brothers who were with me, my brothers at arms who were with me, is those guys, despite the worst situations, they were always at their best. They were always laughing. They were always cheerful. They were always morally high. And then like common tasks, you know, common tasks that you don't really care now. Like in the military, your life is very challenging, right? Everything from making breakfast is a challenge in the Hailtat. Like compared to a person, I grew up in Asmara, so to me it's challenging. To a person who grew up in a village, maybe it's not that challenging, right? To me, it's a challenge. Your breakfast, you gotta, just to make some tiny breakfast, you gotta chop up wood, right, in the morning. And the same thing in lunch, the same thing in dinner. And then you gotta also fetch water. Like, you know, sometimes what do you call, the water tanker doesn't come, so you got to walk long distances and then get water. So I remember, like, let me tell you an anecdote from my friends. So it was a very hot day in Assad, very hot. You don't want to walk outside. We were sleeping, we were tired, and the water tanker was late. Sometimes they break, so there is no water. So we were rationing water. Actually, we were told not to take a bath, and we were drinking the water on a ration. And two of my fellow friends, of my squad members, volunteered to go to walk for like 3 or 4 kilometers and carry 20-liter container of water to us to bring to our tent, right? This is out of they were not even ordered to do that. They just did it because they can, they're stronger than us. Maybe they are more resilient. They did it, And it's things like that, small things like this, that keeps you going in our national service. And this is not just in our unit. I'm pretty sure most units are like that. It's like, in the absence of supplies, in the absence of many things, it's the human spirit that really kind of keeps you going. And I really believe that, like, Eritreans are like, they are at their best in their worst, So to me, when I hear this, very bad things coming from, Tigray, it really saddens me, like, for civilians to suffer, in the war in Tigray. And it's being conducted by many sides, right? There are Amhara militias, there are federal troops, and now, we know that Eritrean troops are there, right? But to me, the red flag was most of the Tigrayans on social media, right? They are in diaspora, most of them. The ones we see on Facebook, they're not inside Tigray. There is no internet in Tigray. Most of them we see on social media, they are in diaspora like us. And they don't really know much of the situation, what's going on. They might have communication with telephone, but they don't have any video proof or anything. We've seen, the little proof we've seen is of soldiers moving about in the cities, right? In fact, when I saw those footages, I was really it kind of made me appreciate it, because I recognized those people, like, not like facially, but I recognized their temperament. You can tell, like, the way they were walking. These guys, they were not murderers, man. Murderers don't walk like that. Like, these guys are not rapists. They were not walking around like rapists, right? These guys were just ordinary soldiers, just like I remember them when I was there, like poor village people, poor, like underprivileged people who didn't have an opportunity at life, and the government just threw them in the military. And these people, they don't wake up in the morning to harm people, right? So, like, something tells me inside from my experience that it tells me to defend these people until we see proof. I cannot just say Eritrean soldiers are raping and pillaging. It doesn't make sense to me from my experience, from my point of view. And one other thing I would like to point is, most of the social media discussions that were happening among Tigrayans, I was listening in many as I can, and their focus was mostly on Eritrean soldiers. And Dave, we discussed about this. It was strange, right? Why were they focusing on Eritrean soldiers only? To me, Eritrean soldiers are just supplements to the Ethiopian Federal Army. They are supplements. They are not the largest number, I can say. Maybe there is like a couple of thousand, but I don't think they are as large a number as the Ethiopian Federal Army, and I don't think they are as large a number as Amhara militias and others. I know our military was very I can say it was very undermanned when I was there. When I say undermanned, like, they didn't have much troops as you would expect. Our numbers were very few. like, and I can't see the government, Eritrean government, like sending all of them, like everyone in Eritrea, like sending to Tigray, you know. You still want to defend, you know, some other lines, right? You cannot say all, you cannot send all troops to Tigray. You don't know what's going to happen on other fronts, right? So based on those facts that I know from our military, I just can't say we are in Tigray more than Federal Army, and we are in Tigray more than Amhara militia. But all the discussions that were happening among Tigrayans, it was focusing on Eritrean soldiers. And I agree, like seeing a foreign soldier, and from their point of view, seeing an enemy soldier. So from their point of view, we are enemies to them. And I don't blame them. We're in their country, we're in their land, we're in their cities. So they are going to react to this negatively, I'm sure. And I don't blame them. But for them focusing on Eritrean soldiers only, it kind of spoke to me that there is something going on underlying, like maybe there is a propaganda element mixed to it. If they were calling for all soldiers, or if they were blaming all soldiers, like everyone who's present in Tigray. And one thing I also want to point out is, shouldn't they be starting blaming their own government first? Because let's face it, like Tigray is a region in Ethiopia, right? It's Ethiopian government who's attacking them. So let's say Eritreans present in Tigray, they're literally under Ethiopian government's jurisdiction right now. Like if the Ethiopian government wants Eritrean soldiers out of Tigray, they will leave, right? But now it's like as if we invaded them willingly, and then they're talking like as if we invaded them willingly, and as if the Ethiopian government is not participating at all. But it's kind of like it's messy. By the way, I would like to point out that I want our soldiers to leave Tigray. Like let's put that on the table first, because you know nobody wants their own brothers and sisters dying in a foreign war, and this is a foreign war to me at this point. Like some Higdef supporters, even ordinary Eritreans, can say this is about Badime, right? They can say that, and it's valid. It's a valid reason, right? You can say it's about Badime because you know Badime was declared our land, and then Ethiopian soldiers has been like Ethiopia has occupied that land for like over 20 years now. But since Eritrean soldiers are way beyond Badime at this point, they are in Mekelle, they are in other places, it's not really acceptable for our soldiers to die in a war that really shouldn't be, that we shouldn't really be involved in. And to make it even worse, Eritrea cannot afford this war. Eritrea cannot afford this war. Like, we don't have that much money to begin with to spend on war. Like our troops are malnutrition, right? They don't eat good food. They don't even eat decent food, man. Literally, our troops are suffering. Our troops are like hungry. They don't even wear decent food. It's shameful. Have you seen those pictures of our soldiers? Like, doesn't that embarrass you? Like our soldiers were like wearing like vagabonds, you know? And Ethiopia soldiers, what were they wearing? So that's the state of our troops, and it makes me sad, you know. Like, don't you hear Americans always talking about the way they're like they need their soldiers, how they want their soldiers to be armed the best, to be dressed the best. Like, you know, our government, nobody thinks about, they don't even think about the soldiers. Nobody cares about them. There is no supplies. Like when I was in Eritrea in the army, I used to spend my own money on shoes. Like the Congo, even Congo, like Congo, it's cheap. It's like $50. They don't even issue you that. Like maybe they issue you once a year. Like my mother used to send me money because I wasn't, by the way, I didn't even have a salary because I was in the initial year of my service, so I was only getting 75 nafa. So like I was using my own money, my own pocket money that my mom sends me to buy soap, to buy Congo whenever I need. So I was using my own money. Like that's how I left Eritrea. It's like it's ridiculous, you know. I'm not saying this is a big deal. I know some Eritreans are going to say, "Oh, we pay a lot more to our country," you know, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm a soldier, but the government doesn't even supply me with enough military gear to be a soldier, right? So under these conditions, our soldiers are in Tigray now. I don't know what they are eating. I don't know what kind of supplies they have, you know, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous for us to invade.
So, not to cut you off, brother. So here's the thing.
I have two questions can I say you my son or my brother or?
Yeah, you can say your son. It's valid.
Are you 35 years old?
I'm 34. Yeah.
So you are my son.
Yeah.
Okay. كل تحت اللواني. مجمريا تي زغلصكايو ناي ساوا بكلهم سبات ስለዝግለጹ ከርፋሕ ህይወት መኻኑ ርድዩ መንግስቲ you know መንግስቲ ንሕና ብገድሊ ከለና ተጠመና ጫማን ተሳአና ክዳን ተሳአና ገድሊ መንግስቲ ሃገር ተበፀንሕና ክንቃለስ ከለና ሲ ሃገርና ነፃ ወፅያ ደቅና አክንድ ብእግሩኹም ብመኪና አክንድ ኮንጎ ኮዮ አክንድ ዝዓረቀ ክዳን ዝበለፀ ክዳን ክትክደኑ ደምና ክንከፍል ከድና ከፊልናኻ ምናልባት ካብቶም ዝተሰውኡ ጀጋኑ ሓደ ክልተ ተሪፍና ንህለና ንዛረብ ኣለና ሕጂ እንታይ ኢኻ ሓቲ ደለለኹ ብዛዕባ እቲ ናብራ ናይ ሚሊታሪ ኣብ ዓድና ዘሎ ባርነት እዩ ዌል ኖ ሰብ ንድሕሪ ካብ ገዝኡ ወሲድካ ቆፂርካዮ ክትከፍሎ ኣለካ ኣትሊስት እዚ ኣብ ዓመት ክልተ ግዜ ክዳውንቱ ክተምፅእ ኣለካ ከም ዝትገልፆ ዘለኻ እቲ ኤርትራዊ ክሳብ ክንደይናይ ፀዋር ምዃኑ እዩ ዘርኢ ፀዋራት
ናይ ባሕቂ ብጣዕሚ ፀዋራት
እወ ሕጂ ተሓድነት ዝብሎ ዝበልካዮ ነጥቢ እውን ብጣዕሚ ፅቡቕ ነገር እዩ ሜዳ ከለና ከምኡ እዩ ኣብ ሜዳ ከለና ገለገለ ሰባት ኣለዉ ብፍጥረቶም ጆከርስ መስሓቅቲ በቃ ክትበልዕ ክትሰቲ ክትሰርሕ ኣይፍለጠካን እዩ ኣይተሓስብን ኢኻ ካልእ ንፅባሒቱ ከይድካ ውግእ ይስውኡኻ መታን ንዖም ክትርስዖም ኣይትኽእልን ኢኻ ግን ከዓ ገድሊ እንስኻውን ክትስውኣኻ ፅባሕ ከምዚ ኢና ሓሊፍና ሕጂ እንታይ ኣነ ሕቶይ ዘሎ ሓደ ሰራዊት ኤርትራ ንትግራይ ኣትዩሎ ኢልካ ዶ ተኣምን መጀመርያ ሕቶ እዚኣ
of course yeah this is ሙሉእ ፕሩፍ ኣሎ እንዲ
እምበኣረይ ሰራዊት ማለት ከዓ ሰራዊት ኩሉ ሕማቕ ነገር ይገብር እዩ ኩሉ ሓደ ይኮነን ኩሉ ይኮነን ዝገብር ግን ሰራዊት ማለት ያንግ እንዲሁ ብዙሕ ፀቅታት እዩ ዝገብር ሕጂ እዚ ሬፕ ዝብልዎ ነገር እዚ ምቕታል ዝብልዎ ነገር ንሶም ኣይኮኑን ዝገብሩ ዘለዉ ብትእዛዝ እዮም ዝገብሩ ዘለዉ ሬፕ ዋላ ብትእዛዝ እንተዘይገበሩ እቲ ምቕታል ዝብልዎ ቤተክርስትያናት ምፍራስ ዝብልዎ ኣቑሑ ምውሳድ ዝብልዎ ያኺ ሰድያ ፀዓን ሕጂ እዚ ኣይኮነን ክትብል ትኽእል ኣይከኣልን ምክንያቱ ኣነ ካብዚ ዓዲ ዘለኽዎ ናብ ስድሮኦም ኢሎም ምስ ከዱ ኣብ ገለ ከተማታት ናይ ትግራይ ዝሰደዱለ ይስእሉ ኣሎ ተሓዝን ኢኻ ድሓር እቶም ኣምሓሩን እቶም ኤርትራውያንን ከምቲ ዝበልካዮ ነንበይኖም እዮም እቲኦም ከክንገለ እዮም ዝኾኑ እቲኦም ከዓ መሳኪን ብጥሜት ተሳቂዮም ብነብሶም ትፈልዮም ኢኻ ንሶምን ይፈልይዎም እዮም
በከዳድናውን ትፈልዮም ኢኻ
ሕጂ በካዳድ ምስ ተዘርበ ብዚ ሜድያ ምስ ተዘርበ ናይ ጦር ሰራዊት ክዳን ሂቦሞም ግን ናይ ጦር ሰራዊት ከዓ ከንቲ ዓቐን ናይቶም ኢትዮጵያውያን ስለ ዝሰርሕዎ ጀለው ይብሎም ማለት እዩ እሱ ከምኡ ገይሮም ይርዎም እዮም እሱ ብዙሕ ታክቲክስ ኣሎ ግን ትሕቶ እንታይ ይመስለካ ትሕቶ ንሕና ከም ኤርትራውያን ዓድና ኣለና ምናልባት ተባኢሶም ጎረቤትና ሽማግለ ኮይና መንጎ ክንዓርቕ ንኽእል ናይ ሓደ ሸነኽ ኮይና ግን ነቲ ሓደ ክነጥቅዕ ከለና እሞ ከዓ ሓደ ኣካል ኢትዮጵያ ትግራይ ሲ ኣካል ኢትዮጵያ እቲ ፌደራል መንግስቲ መፂኡ ክወሮም ከሎ እንደገና ኣምሓራ ባንዳ መፂኦም ክወርዎም ከለዉ ኤርትራ ካብቲ ይመፁ ያኸ 360 ዲግሪ ሰርክል ኣኺቦም ኣለዉ ከመይ ገይሮም ሳርቫይቭ ገብሩ ዘለዉ ዛቱ ኢትስ ዊርድ for 3 months. Some claims you. تبين كوزيو. نحنا ما راح تيوم تسألي منبر. نحنا مصدق تقرأي صلي بلنا، مصدق محارات صلي بلنا. ذات محارة حجي. مسوم عبس اللي لنا. مخنياتو كلمة وجه مكيادو. أنت قبلنا متعة أمرات نقرأ. Do you remember that, you guys? Eritrea.
Yeah.
So let me jump in here. We don't have a lot of time.
Let me David give me chance. I have one question for him.
I will again before you guys start talking you guys are riling up to his B, you guys are riling them up. So listen, I'm going to let you guys speak. I want the people that are watching to understand that no one's making any justifications. We know Eritrean soldiers are in Tigray. Some believe there's no proof of, of rape and pillaging and looting or whatever. I mean, we do see the camels and the cups and you know what I mean? But this is a panel of discussion from all perspectives. So please don't take offense. Understand each person's perspective. And the reason why everybody on this panel is Eritreans, so everyone watching can understand how we each have our own perspectives and how we see things through our experiences. Don't get mad or upset. Let each person speak. Understand this is how we achieve the healing process. So with that being said, I'm going to give the mic to Baba Mahmoud. But before I do, there was a question I wanted to ask Beanie, and we could get back to that after this. We cannot exceed 3 hours, guys. Right now, we are at 2 hours and 21 minutes. At 2 hours and 45 minutes, I got to cut it. You know what I mean? So we will return, more organized, and we'll have these discussions but we will have to shorten the answers, maybe a minute and a half, so other people can have a chance. This is excellent. I like this discussion, but I do want everybody to see everyone's different perspective. Go ahead, Baba Mahmoud.
Yeah, my question is, did everybody who went to Sawa hate Sawa?
Oh, Naida Baba Mahmoud?
Oh, and
Yeah, okay, let me say from my perspective, Hijana, from the time I went to Sawa, it's been almost 17 years, right? So over 17 years, Sawa has changed a lot. I cannot even say how much it changed, but let me tell you my perspective of that time. And ሓደ ነገር ኣብ point ከነእትዎ ዘለና ከዓኒ ኤርትራ እውን ኩነታቱ ብጣዕሚ ተቐይሩ ኣብ 17 ዓመት right ሕጂ ኣብ 17 ዓመት መንእሰይ ናይ ኤርትራ ኣጠማምቱ ሓደ ይኮነን ኣነ ንኣብነት ሕጂ ዘለኒ ጠማምታን ቅድሚ 17 ዓመት በበይን እዩ like I said ቅድሚ 17 ዓመታት ኣነ ኤርትራ I thought it's going to be ፅቡቅ ፓስ ክህልወና ኢላ ሓሲበ ነይረ ኩናት ናይ ወያነ ጠዊሉ ኤርትራስ ናብ ለውጢ ትኸይድ ትኸውን እያ ብል ነይረ ናይ G15 ምእሳር ገለ የሰክፈካ እንዲሁ ግን I didn't think it would be this long, right? I thought it would change. ሕጂ እዞም ምስኮሚ ኣነ ዝሪኦ ሕጂ ኣብ ግዜና let me tell you ኣብ ግዜና ሳዋ ክንወርድ ከለና I can say most of my peers we were excited about it, right? መንእሰይና ንኣሽቱና ካብ ገዛና ንወፃልና for the first time. To us it's like leaving home, like being a man, like kind of seeing the world, right? Seeing our country. So under that kind of circumstance, ሳዋ ከይድና ንሕና ተማሃሮ ኢና and ኣብ ሳዋ ከዓ ከምዚ ባባ ሚካኤል ዝገለፆ ኩነታት ሕማቅ ናብራ ነይሩና ክብል ኣይክእልን እየ ሆነስ ክነግረካ ኣብ ሳዋ ብናተይ ፐርስፔክቲቭ ማለት እዩ ማራ ሕማቅ ኣይኮነን ነይሩ ምስቲ ዓቕሚ ናይቲ መንግስቲ ኣረኣይካ እቲ ዝኸፍአ ነገር ናይ ሳዋ ክነግረካ ኣሎ እቶም ዓለምቲ እዮም እቶም ዓለምቲ ከዓ ተኣዚዞም ድዮም ከምኡ ዝገብሩ I don't know ግን ብዓለምቲ ጌርካ ተምሃሮ መሓዝ ጌጋ ክኾኑ ክእል
No, Anagan, my question is when somebody tell him you go in Sawa in general perspective, first group, second group until the 17th group, well until now, the average feeling is that's the nightmare.
It's not a nightmare.
The reason I am asking is I don't want all these people hate Sawa because that is where I grow up.
I know.
Okay?
I know, like
so I don't want to have that thing. The second thing is it I wish you write it down because when the time go you decide. إذا كلنا يساوا خون نايكالي خون زخت
بزح 70 موزل لو خماي عشحات سبات يمزل لو خماي
هو عشحات اللوغن you do your portion. And others also we up to
It's a good suggestion. It's a good
portion
suggestion.
ናቶም كمان ها
Yeah, it's a good suggestion. ግን ሓንቲ point out ክገብራ ዝደልግ እንታይ ኣሎ መሲሉካ ሕጂ እዚ ኩሉ መንእሰይ ብባህሪ ገለመለ ሰጊሩ ዝመፅእ ዘሎ ብዙሕ ዓይነት መንእሰይ ኢኻ ትርኢ let me tell you ድሕሪ ኣሊልካዮም ዝተፈላለዩ ተመክሮ እዩ ዘሎ ኩሉ ተመክሮ ዘለካ ሓደ ይኮነን ሕጂ ኣብ ወፃኢ ዘለና ነቲ መንግስቲ ንቃወሞ ብዙሕ ዓይነት ኢና ዘለና መንእሰያት ከምዚ ከማይ ዝበልኩካ ሳዋ ዝወረድና ብድሌትና ዝኸድና ሳዋ ተቃወምቲ ኣለና ኣንተ ወይ ሓደ ካባኹም ካብዞም ዓበይቲ ሜንሽን ጌርኩማ ነርኩም እቲ ዝበዝሐ ተቃዋማይሲ ሂወቱ ብኔጌቲቭ ዝተፀልወ እዩ ገለ መለ ኢልኩም ነርኩም it's not only that so ኣነ ሕጂ ክነግረካ like ካብቶም ዕድለኛታት ክበሃል ይኽእል እየ ቤተሰበይ ይኹን ኣሕዋተይ ይኹን ገለ ብዙሕ affected ኣይኮናን በዚ ናይ ኤርትራ situation I'm one of the lucky ones I wish ብዙሕ ስድራ ቤታት ከማይ ክኾን ግን ኣነ ዘቃወመኒ ነገር ሃገረይ ስለዝፈቱ ህዝበይ ስለዝፈቱ ብዙሕ ተቃውሞ ከምሎ it's not only personal it's about thinking nationally like ህዝብኻ like ፅቡቅ ህዝብኻ ሳብ ፅቡቅ ክትሪኦ ትደሊ እቲ ካልእ ኣሕዋተይ ሳፈር ዝገብሮ ኣነ ኣይወሓጠለይን እዩ ኣነ ብፅቡቅ ዓዲ ስለ ዘለኹ ኣሕዋተይ ሳፈር እንዳገበሩ ደስ ኣይብለንን እዩ my first point ኣብዚ ዓዲ መፅእ ናብ ናይ ህግደፍ ኣኼባ ገለ ከይዳ ኣይፈልጥኒ ካብዚ መፅእ 7 ዓመት ኣብ ናይ ኤርትራውያን ኮሚኒቲ ከይዳ ኣይፈልጥኒ ዋይ እንተልካኒ መጀመርታ መዓልቲ ምስ ረኣኽዎም ኩሉ ነገሮም I found it very በታ ኣነ መትከለይ ኣነ ዝኣምነሉ ኣንፃሩ ኮይኑ ስለ ዝረኸብክዎ ኣይተሓወስኮምን ማለት እዩ ሕጂ ብዙሕ መንእሰይ ኣሎ ከምዚ ከማና like ተቃዋሚ ኮይኑስ ዝተፈላለዩ ተመክሮ ዘሎ ሕጂ ካብኡ ናብኡ ብዊዓ ዝሓለፈ ወይ ብክሊማ ዝሓለፈ ወይ እውን ተዓሊሙ ዘይፈልጥ ዋላ ኣገልግሎት ከይዱ ዘይፈልጥ መንእሰይ ካባይ ንላዕሊ ነቲ መንግስቲ ክፀርፎ ገለካ ትሰሚዕ ኢኻ sometimes ዝገርመኒ like ናሽቱ ገለገለ ዝሓቶም ኣለዉ እንታይ እኔ ካብ ኤርትራ why are you so bitter ገለ ብሎም sometimes you know ኣነ ሕጂ I would like to be objective ነቲ ዓዲ ብንእሽተይ ከለኹ ዓብየ ዓብየ ኣብ ናፅነት ግዜ ዝዓበኹ ከዓ ስለ ዝኾንኩ ከዓ I think I have unique perspective ማለት እዩ እዞም ናኣሽቱ ሕጂ ዘለዉ ብጣዕሚ ናይቭ ክኾኑ ኾነ እዮም ክነግረካ ምክንያቱ they don't even remember ደርግ ኣነ ደርግ ቁርብ ኢሜጅስ ኣለኒ ዶኪመንታሪ ናይ ደርግ እንዳረኣኹ ኢኻ ዓበየ ማለት እዩ ኣብ ኤርትራስ ብዙሕ ዶኪመንታሪስ ኣሎ ናይ ቃልሲ ናይ ህዝቢ ኤርትራ ዝገልፅ ዶኪመንታሪስ ኣሎ ብዙሕ ነገር ኣሎ ስለዚ I know that and then ድሕሪ ናፅነትካ ናይ ኤርትራ ነገርካ ይፈልጦ እየ ገጠራት ናይ ኤርትራ ርአየ ንኣፋይ ትበል በቲ ነታሓታይ ትበል ብዙሕ ቦታታት ርአየ ሕጂ ነዚኣ ሃገር እዚኣ ምስ ጉድለታን ፀገማን ይፈትዋ እየ ነታ ሃገረይ ማለት እዩ and ሳዋ ክኸይድ ከለኹ ከዓ ፖዚቲቭ ሪሊ ብለካ ኣለኹ I don't want to disappoint you ኣቦታተይ ግን ሳዋ ክኸይድ ከለኹ ኣነ ፖዚቲቭ ነገር ሒዘ እየ ከይደ ፖዚቲቭ ነገር ማለት ዓባይ ሓፍተይ ሳዋ ከይዳ እያ ንዓይ ቅድመይ ዓባይ my oldest ካልኣይ ዙርያ and she came back home I was so proud of her ክሪኣ ከለኹ ማለት እዩ ንዓሽር ካልኣይ ዙርያ ምትመፅእ ከላ she didn't tell us anything bad ናይ ካልኣይ ዙርያ ግን I know ስለ ዝዓበኹ ሕጂ I remember ንሳስ ከቢድ ላይፍ ከም ዝሓለፈቶ for sure ምክንያቱ second round ቀሊል ኣይነበረን ሳዋ there were no buildings there were no supplies ማለት እዩ ኣነ ከይድ ከለኹ ሳዋ it almost became like a small town ኤሌክትሪክ ኣሎ ምግብና ኣሎ ካፌቴርያ ኣሎ ቴሌቪዥን ነይሩ ብዙሕ ነገራት ነይሩ ሾፕስ ነይሩ ሊትራሊ ማለት እዩ ሳዋስ ኢሜጅስ ኣለካ ናይ ሳተላይት ስልታት ገለመል ኣለካ if you want to so like ኣነ ሳዋ ክኸይድ ከለኹ I had a positive view about it ግን ኣብኡ ምስ ኣተኹ ግን ቪው ናተይ ተቐይሩ በቲ ትሪትመንት ኣይቶም ዓለምቲ ማለት እዩ ግን was it all bad you can say no it wasn't ዓመትን ገለ ነይ ኣብ ሳዋ ኮፍ ኢለ it wasn't all bad nice ዓለምቲ ካ ነይሮም by the way ሕማቃት ኣይኮኑን ኩሎም ዓለምቲ there were nice ዓለምቲ ካብ ጅቦኦም ገንዘብ ኣውፅኦም buy this ዝብሉ ዓለምቲ ካ ነይሮምና I don't want to say ኩሎም ሕማቃት እዮም you know ሕጂ like humans ስለዝኾና not everyone can be bad and not everyone can be good right ሕጂ ናይዞም ኤርትራውያን ናብ ትግራይ ንምፃእ ወታደራት ድማ ከምዚ ባባ ሚካኤል ሜንሽን ዝገበርካ ኩሎም ቁንዓት ክኾኑ ይኮኑ እዮም ሓደ ሓደ ጌጋታት ክገብሩ ክእሉ እዮም ስርቂ ገለመለ ክህሉ ክእል እዩ ግን what I want to say as an Eritrean ሕጂ ብዝኻ ከም ኤርትራውያን ኢና ንዕልል ዘለና በር ከም global citizens ኣይኮናን we're not global citizens we're not Americans we're not Asians or whatever, Eritreans, you know. One thing I want to say is, right or wrong, until we see evidence, until like an independent organization at you, this a point is got finger. Isn't تغيروا كم زي نبع Kosovo, كم زي نبع Sarajevo, right? That's what happened. A lot of gross human rights abuses አጋጢሞ بعد Yugoslavia مش دحرا UN مسأتو قال مسأتو كله تتصنعوا እቶም ኮሎኔላት ድዮም እቶም ገለ አው ጌሮም ዝተባሃሉ ክሳብ ሕጂ ይፍረዱ ይህደኑ ለው ኣብ ናይ ትግራይ እውን ከምኡ ከም ዘጋጥም ፍሉጥ ይውዕሉ ሓዲሩ ማለት it might take some time. Don't forget this conflict is very new. ሓድሽ እዩ 3 ወርሒ ገይሩ ዘሎ this conflict ንህወ ኣለና with time.
No, I think ኣብዛ ክምላተ ነጥብናተይ መጀመርያ እቲ ሰራዊት መልኣኽ ኣይኮነን ሰራዊት እዚ ሬብ እዚ ምስራቅ is possibility we can't deny. እዚ ኢድና ኤርትራውያን ፕሪጅስ ኣለና ኣብዚ ቆልዑ ብሓደ ተሰሪቆም ከማን ኤርትራዊ ኣይትብሎና ትግራዊ ኣይትብሎ ወይ ኣምሓራ ኢትዮጵያዊ ትብሎ
it's natural መንነትካ እኳ ትከላኸል ዘለኻ
ወይ ስለዚ always ነፍሶም ቤተር ገይሮም ዝርዩ ስለዚ እዚ ፕሪጅስ ኣለና ብላዕሊ ትግራይ ካ ብፍላይ ስለዚ እቲ ናይ ሰራዊት ፖሲብል ክኸውን ይኽእል እዩ ገሊኡ ግን not much comes as a gun no night about the back. Okay? This is one.
شوعات ميتي أب بيت كريستيان تقتلهم زبل زربانيرو 700.
Yeah. I don't think it can.
That's a genocide basically.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to talk at a sub فلت أبز عدم سان ذلو. Have to. Have to.
Of course. We not too crazy. We not too quiet. Come on too quiet.
It's سراويت جن. It's سراويت.
Systemic do quiet زربانا حج. Systemic see as they systemically attacking civilians. ساكوت از ربان collateral damage كله أبخينات الجو they are shooting at each other you know
حكي بابا مايكل قريتا كقارص أكو ماينو كابتن very تاشمو patient كوينو لو مسانا جزء سلزلو كم إيرتراون حنت نقدر نستمع إيرتراويان أبزي بوتانا سلزة أتنا بزيناتنا ممكن فردينا you know ولا جرنا ولا جبرنايو سلابو زلنا كلنا دم بأمريكا لنا أنا ما كنا زور تلو كابتن مسافر كما كنا نتلو تدرس له وأنا تي بنك أتي تي بنك تسرقة كما كنا تبتيه كلنا هنا نأثر you know so نعان استمع معلا أنا حزب إيرترا هيبة حليفة هيبة يدلني توش ناتي نايلبين نايسوون ناتي كلنا دمهم هنا جن أبزي بتنا سلزة أتنا لنا بزيناتنا حتى ممكن فرد نخلينا you know so let's just leave it at that.
I agree.
I do want to interject. I know I have a different view and I came here as a baby from Eritrea. As a soldier, a United States soldier retiree, I want you guys to understand one thing. Just like I always say, I'm Eritrean first and foremost, just like if I was Tigray, I would be Tigray first, but I'm Eritrean. I want everybody to understand this. First order of business, blackout. When you do a blackout, genocide doesn't always have to be with guns and knives. That's people need to understand. Genocide can be by starvation. Genocide can be by blackout. So is there genocide? The answer is yes, because what we do have proof of blackout. We do have proof of civilian killings. We do have proof of certain atrocities. First and foremost, we all have to agree. I don't care if you're Eritrean. I don't care if you're Habesha, Arab, whatever. There's genocide, period. Second, Eritrea was invited by Abiy Ahmed. This is not an invasion of Ethiopia. He invited us because he invited our country or Isaias Forki because he knows he cannot beat TPLF on his own. That's a fact. As a soldier, and I study, history, whatever. So he invited Eritrea to partake in this war. Eritrea partook in this war, fine. We also cannot eliminate the fact that there could be atrocities by individuals happening of murder, rape. That's in every war. Weird things happen. Again, we cannot pinpoint and say Eritrean soldiers did this, but we know it's happening because there's testimonies of people coming back saying this happened to my family. I have Tagaro friends I speak to, and they send me pictures and things that I don't share because, I can't share. It's pretty
I think
bad,
you should share it, Dave. When it comes to things like this, it should be shared.
because I'm dealing with some of their families. Like I got a buddy named Mike. He shared things with me with his family.
Maybe you should share it with like State Department or whatever
Well,
on
and
Twitter.
you know what? And I'll get to that. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, instead of pointing fingers and saying Eritreans didn't do this or Tagadus, I know one thing for sure. I know Amharas are the orchestrators of all this. Abiy Ahmed Sabnatu are the orchestrators of all this. Regardless if you want to blame Eritreans or not, there's a number one orchestrator, and that's Abiy Ahmed, and it's Amhara soldier Natu. It's a elitist. So that's first and foremost thing. Now, I can't 100% for sure say Eritreans rape Garum Katilam Kubala because I don't have proof. Mish Yablina Ide. Get into testimony na Sama'alana. It's going to come out. They're going to do an independent investigation, and eventually the truth will come out 100%. That way there is no refuting or argument. Now, we got that straight. Y'all had to say your piece. Let me ask Beanie Man one question. Why, if I am being a voice for the voiceless, if I'm being a voice for the voiceless, and it just so happens I'm speaking for the Tagarus on behalf of the Tagarus and Eritrean refugees, because we have Eritreans dying too inside the refugee camps that we cannot forget. We also have soldiers that are wounded, that are getting killed by the Amhara soldiers, so that the world won't know that they're involved. Remember all them no, we're not involved. Now that we're involved, narrative. Why does that make me? Why is my loyalty to Eritrea questioned if I am against genocide of Hizbi? It just so happens to be Hizbi Tigray, because they're the ones getting attacked. If I'm against that genocide, why is my loyalty questioned? Go.
Okay. First, I don't want to answer for, I'm glad it's not a Higdef question, because I'm not Higdef, so I don't answer for them. I want to tell you something, those refugee camps you're talking about, with Sharifai, Awad, Kasala. I was a child. Now, after everybody pull out, family burned, died, the camps burned. I grew up in those camps, Awad, with Sharifai, Kasala, eventually Khartoum. Then I'm here, very lucky, like Tedros, our brother said, very fortunate. I don't even know how I survived. I don't even know how I lived and how I'm alive, because none of my peers did. They were burned. There were children after their parents died in the war that got a chance to get out. So why do people question you? Okay, as you know, they're not going to question me because I was with them even when the border conflict, 1998. I was meeting with the youth, with the Nuwais, even SAS. I was meeting with them and asking questions. I mean, I was 20-year-old. At that time, I was a college student, so I was very involved. So they know this space. I was invited to Sawa in 2001, 2002 to perform with Abraham Aforki, but I didn't. That's my brother. Abraham was my mentor, but I stayed because I didn't feel going to Sawa and performing to people like Tedros to tell them, hey, you guys are doing a great job. We're proud of you, because inside me, I was hurting. I was thinking they should be in school. They should be having other opportunity, because Eritreans like Tedros, listening to him, they're amazing. They're beautiful. They're smart. They need other opportunity. So they question you because those 25 years, you were in the military. You were an American soldier, and you probably seen what America does outside America. So they didn't see this face, Dawit. They didn't see you at the festival. They didn't see you in the meeting. They didn't see nothing. They just saw you now in November coming in with us and say, hey, this war is wrong. What are we doing as Eritrean? So they're like, who's this guy that's sympathizing for Tigray, right? That's how they see you. That's how they text me and they're like, talk to Dawit. Why is he sympathizing to Tigray? And right now we're all Eritrean. We're not talking about Tigray. We care about the people of Tigray. We care about the people of Ethiopia. We hurt just like them. That's why we see pain, and we don't want them to see pain, So that's what you're saying. You're talking about everybody, And a lot of people don't get that message because we haven't had yet to be challenged. We would like to have TPLF members to sit down with us, because me and you have American intelligence background that we can clearly show them this war just didn't happen overnight. TPLF played part of this war also. And we can clearly show them, just like we disagree with EPLF, our current leaders back home, and how they play, and how Dr. Abai was here in America getting advice to go back there and start this situation. We can clearly show them dates and time and challenge people, but we're not right now. We're talking about us as Eritrean, how we can improve. And you're doing a great job, because right now you have 4 people or 5 people Eritrean that are talking about their personal experience They're not saying they don't love their country. They're not saying they don't love their people. They're not saying that what's going on back home is not wrong. You know, they're saying the same voice every human being should. And I'm proud of you because you continue to do what you do without anybody questioning you because your heart is in the right place. But I'll say this, you ignore all the negativity. Digital Wayane, digital Tigray, they're not journalists, they're opinion, right? So Eritrea doesn't have journals. It's TV era, it's government owned. So all of them are biased. Dr. Abai, stop the media so they can have control. It's all about control. All these people back home that are in the war, it's about control, about power. Tigray had the same problem for 27 years. It was about power. We Eritrean are upset because we have one person that controlling it in his party because of power. Now Dr. Abai want to take over because it's about power. That's the problem in Africa. There is no compromise. There's no people willing to put their ego and their pride and all that stuff aside and think about the people, you know? But you think about the people, you keep saying that the people probably don't have the bravery and the heart that you have to say what you have. And I applaud you, continue to do that. But one day I will not go to the Tigrayan. I'm sorry, I love my Tagaro friends and stuff. A lot of them invited me because they know me from my past and stuff. I'm not gonna be in their media answering on behalf of Eritrean, you know? I will be sitting with Eritrean and answering question. If Tagaro wanted to come, right now may not be the best time because they're hurting. And when you're hurting, your emotion and your mind is blinded. You'll say a lot of things that some of it might be true, some of it not be true. And you can label all Eritrean and lose them. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did, thank you. So here's what we're gonna do. Now we're gonna close it out. We'll be back another day, probably tomorrow even, who cares? Whenever you guys are free. But I will do, the next one will be an hour and a half at the longest. I'm gonna give you each 1 minute to send a message to the people. I know we didn't get really to, because Teddy, my brother Teddy came out later on. So he didn't really, because he was working, and I know Baba Bayana, I think, hopped out as well. So I'll point to you. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to give a little speech to the people and your perspectives. I'm glad that you guys all came here. I appreciate it. We got to see different perspectives. So I would like to invite you guys back on this to have an educated, because you guys, this isn't scripted. You guys are speaking as humans and how you feel through your experiences. And I love this. This is what we need, what everybody needs to see, because they only see Captain Eritrea talking one way. I need to see different perspectives from the elders and the youngest. So Teddy, you get the first mic. Tell the people what you think, or, you know, whatever your message is. You got 1 minute, brother.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, I mean, you know, as I came late, so I didn't really talk about the dynamics, the new dynamics that's going on around that region. But, you know, all I want to say is let's be patient. Let's be patient. Like, let's wait until the situation calms down. And there will be investigations. There will be, like, you know, international community inside Tigray, inside Ethiopia. There will be investigations. And those who are found to be, you know, participated in these claims of human rights abuses, they will be held accountable, you know. And, you know, it's not even the, like, foot soldiers that are going to be held accountable. It's the officers, right? It's the commanding officers. So if any Eritrean general or colonel is inside Tigray and committing these crimes, they will be held accountable. That's all I'm asking. Let's wait for the facts to come out. By the way, I really care for the people of Tigray. I want them to live in peace, right? I also follow their media, like even Fana Television. I have seen videos of their cities, like they're in a transitional phase now. Some TPLF might be continuing on to fight in the mountains or in the rural areas, but in the cities, life is going back to normal. There is telephone lines. I have spoken to a couple of Tigrayan friends that used to live in Asmara a long time ago. And from their point of view, you know, it's not all good, but it's kind of, you know, going back to normal. So based on these facts, like, I want them to, like, you know, all things to get better and better as time goes on. One thing I would like to add is, if TPLF stops fighting, there is no one to fight, right? So the moment TPLF stops fighting, or like call it quits, right? They have lost power in Mekelle. So if they want to keep on fighting like Al Qaeda or like Taliban in Afghanistan, the same thing, right? It's a similar situation. The people are the ones who are going to suffer. And I know this as a soldier. When you keep on fighting, it's the civilians who gets hurt. So this is about ego. If their ego is to keep on fighting so they can one day maybe go back to power in Mekelle or whatever, yep, the people are going to hurt. It doesn't matter whether Eritrean soldiers leave or not. We will leave. Hopefully, I hope so. Ethiopian soldiers, Abiy, as a leader, I know for sure he is not going to see TPLF come back to power. That doesn't seem likely. So, you know, Federal Army is going to keep on fighting, just like, you know, Afghanistan or, you know, whatever. That's the situation always. Once a government topples another party, they're not gonna yield easily. There is no going back to the desk anymore. That phase is over. There is no going back to desk. So that's what I was saying to a couple of friends, Tigrayan friends. What happens if TPLF fights? Like, would the people of Tigray suddenly be exterminated? I don't think so. Like, there is a new government, there is a new transitional government made up of Tigrayans, you know, other Tigrayans. So that's not like an occupation. I don't call that occupation. They are Tigrayans ruling over their people, right? So I want them to succeed. To me, as an Eritrean, I want whoever is in power in Mekelle to succeed, because their succeed means the people's well-being being improved, like food, you know, like supplies or infrastructure being built. If the fighting keeps on going, I mean, you can guess where that leads. That's my message.
Okay, thank you. So, Baba Bayana, any message the Laka, you got to stop moving. 1 minute message. Baba Bayana, unmute it.
His microphone is off.
Okay, we're going to go to Beanie. Can now? Go ahead, Beanie, 1 minute.
I don't know what to say. I believe that anybody that know about war, anybody that understand war, in war, nobody wins. Everybody's gonna lose a loved one, you know? If we have all unity and learn one thing from the past, this type of wars, it just continue to generation after generation. One thing that everybody need to study and go back is read the letter Isaias wrote to Abai, read the letter Abai wrote to Isaias, and vice versa, and what did they sign? The problem is not many people have access to those letters. Second, we need to look into how much America played in this war, you know, when Trump was the president, you know. Recently, Biden said Eritrean troop must withdraw from Tigray, right? He did not say this war needs to stop in Ethiopia and Dr. Abiy immediately ceasefire, you know? He did not say that. And because if you just withdraw Eritrean troops, there's still going to be a problem between Dr. Abiy, whatever forces versus TPLF. So the best way that I can put it together is that here in the West, I think one thing with Eritrean, this conversation was about Eritrean. And if we get challenged to talk about this, and I think all these digital Wayan digital Tigray media, if they wanted to have communication with us and have a panel, we're definitely ready. We can put our best man and woman together and have a brotherly talk, how we can, hopefully there is an opportunity for reconciliation, you know? People need to heal. This is just a sad, dark moment. We can't be Black Lives Matters on the West, but we are divided here and laughing at each other to death, you know? This is what bothers me as a human being. I'm a father. I came to this country for opportunity, and I feel sad because people like Tedros, there's a lot of people like that back home that are brilliant. They deserve an opportunity. They don't deserve to be deserted and give them AK-47 and put them in the trenches the rest of their life. And that's all that the past 30 years, our government in Eritrea have given opportunity to the youth. Only give them AK-47 and desert them and let them either run away or die somewhere. And this is not the thing that Mr. Michael or the other gentleman, Mohammed, have fought for Eritrea. Like they said, they fought for years in the 70s and prior in the 80s for us to be like proud. I am so heartbroken because when I came here to America, I came to be special and I achieved that in my goal. I wanted to be in the medical field. I completed that. I feel like I help people in my community, but my goal was to go back to Eritrea and be part of the medical group and help my country. And it's sad that I don't, a lot of Higdaf, they will tell me, Binyam, you still can go and help, but I can't feel like I can help, you know, because I feel that opportunity is taken away from people like that came here to America to be special and go fix Eritrea, because Eritrea is so small. All 4 or 5 of us here probably can go there and have a huge impact, but that's taken away because the leadership back in Eritrea is a mafia mentality. It's a mafia system. We don't have a government to be proud of. We haven't elected a president. We don't have a constitution. We don't have anything to protect our people from our own leaders. And that's something that we all Eritrean have to sit together and agree. And by us saying this and talking the truth, we are not sympathizing for TPLF. We are not selling ourselves to the Garo. We're just saying, if we can fix our country, there will be less problem. We don't have to worry. We can do business work with them. I would like to compete with the Amharo on business perspective. I would like to compete with the Tagaro in business perspective. I would like to compete with Kenya and Sudan in business and education. I want us to compete that way. I don't want us to compete with killing each other with AK-47. Enough is enough. That's all I have to say. I love all of you guys. And anybody that's listening, I don't see a comment. I just want to let you know, if your family are back home, I'm praying for you. Hopefully they're safe. No human being should be wasted for those bourgeois. By that, I mean, all these people that are in leadership, they send their children to the West and they send the poor man children to the war to die. That's just gotta be enough. You know, that's all I have to say.
Okay, Baba Bayane. I would say 1 minute, but you guys 1 minute don't mean, you guys are one Habesha 1 minute.
No, መጀመሪያ thank you ዳዊት ከምዚ ጌርካ ምዞመን እሳያት ደቅና ዘራኸብካና ጽቡቕ ሌላ ግበረልና ክልቲኹም ክንራኸብ ኢና ቀፂልና ንሕና ሓደ ስድራ ቤት ኢና ንስኹም ደቅና ንሕና ከዓ ወለድኹም ንሕና ተመክሮ ንስኹም ክትወርሱ ነቲ ዝመጽእ ዘሎ ጀነሬሽን ከዓ ክትሕልፉ ንሱ ኢና ንሓልሚ መጀመሪያ ንሕና ኤርትራውያን ኢና ተቀዳማይ ሕቶ ተገድሰና ብዛዕባ ሃገርና እዩ ሃገርና ነፃነት ወፅያን 30 ዓመት ሕማቅ ከም ዘላ ኩልና ንፈልጦ ኢና ሕማቅ እንተ ዘይትህሉ ነራ ንስኹም ኣይመጻኹም እንጆ እምበሽን ንሕና ምተመለስና ንዓድና ግን unfortunately ዕድልና ሕማቅ እዩ ሕማቅ ስርዓት ገጢሙና ህዝብና ፋሕፋሕ ኢሉ ካብዚ ኢና ንነቅል እዚ ስለ ዝኾነ ሕጊ ይገበር መንእሰያት ናብ ትምህርቶም ይኸዱ ኣክንዳ ኣብ ኣገልግሎት ይመሃሩ ሃገሮም ተካእት ወለዶ ኾኑ ይጭርሖና ንሕና በአንጻሩ ጽቡቕ ኣሎ መንግስትና ዝብሉለው ኣረኖ እንታይ ጽቡቕ ንዖም ፈልጥ ኣይክእልን ማለት እዩ ድሕር ጽቡቕ ኣሎ መንግስቶም እንታይ ይገብሩለው እዚ ዘይከርቡ ኣነ መንግስተይ ድሕር ጽቡቕ ከም ዘሎ ፈሊጠ ኮፍ ኣይብልና ብስደት ኣነ ኮ ካልኣይ ዜጋ እየ ዘለኹ እዚ ደቀይ ኮ ካልኣይ ዜጋ ሰከንድ ሲቲዝን ናሕና ንፍቶን ንጽላ ዓድና ኣይኮነን እዚ ግን ደሓኒ እተው ተቀቢሎምና ነብር ኣለና በሰላም ስለዚህ እንታይ ኣነ ዝብል ንሕና ሓቂ ማንም ሰብ ከዓብጣ ኣይክእልን ሓቂ እያ ሰራዊት ኤርትራ ኣብ ትግራይ ኣትዩ ኣሎ እንታይ ይገብር ኣሎ ኣብ ቀጻሊ ጉዕዞ ይጻረ ግን ኣትዩ ኣሎ ሕጋዊ ድዩ ኣይ ሕጋውን እዚ ኮንደምን ክኾን ኣሎ ሰራዊትና ዓዱ ክምለስ ኣሎ ሰራዊት ናብ ሓደ ሃገር ንኽዋጋእ እንድሕር ዝኸይዱ ይቀትል ይኣስር ይዕምጽ ይሰርቕ እዚ ዘሎ ነበር እዩ ኣነ እቲ ኢፌክት ይኮነ ዝረኣየኒ እቲ ቀንዲ ዝረኣየኒ ኣነ እቲ ምእታው ስለምንታይ ኣትዩ እንታይ ኣትዩ እንታይ ክገብር ክዋጋእ ንመን ክሕግዝ ንሓደ ኣካል ኢትዮጵያ ዝኾነ መንግስቲ ንመን ክሃርምከ ንሓደ ኣካል ኢትዮጵያ ዝኾነ መንግስቲ this is the reason ዘዛርበና ዘሎ እዚ ከዓ ኮንደምን ክኸውን ኣለዎ ስለዚ ንሕና ብዛዕባ ዶብና ከህንፀት ዘይመጎትና ብዛዕባ ውግእ ክንከላኸል ከመይ ጌርና ክንምጉት ንኽእል ዶብ ኣይተሓንፀፅን እናበለ ምሽከታሎም ፀኒሑ ነቶም ናብ ሰዓብቲ ብድሕሪ ሕጂ ብዛዕባ ዶብ ኣይትዛረቡ ኢልዎም they shut their mouth ኣብይ ምርሓና ኢልዎም ዋላ ሓንቲ ይገብሩ ስለዚ ንምንታይ ኢና ንሕና 30 ዓመት ተቃሊስና 30 ዓመት ተቃሊስና ነፃስ ድሕሪ 30 ዓመት ወፃ 30 ዓመት ካብ ሓደ ዲክቴተር ረጋፂ ዝኸፍአ ህዝብና ተረጊጹ ኣብ ግዜ ሃይለ ስላሴ ኣብ ግዜ ደርጊ ከምዚ ሕጂ ኣብ ግዜ ናይ ኢሳያስ አፈወርቂ ስደት ኣብ ህዝብና ሞት ኣብ ህዝብና ኣይተረአን which is ነፃነት ረኺብና እንዳበልና ስለዚ እንታይ እዩ መንእሰያት ንስኻትኩምን ሸለል ዝብሎ ነገር የለን ሓቂ ነገር እናተዛረብካ ነቲ ዝርአ ዘሎ ኣብ ሚረር ትሪኦ ዘለካ ኩነታት እንዳገለጽካ ነቶም ተጋግዮም ዘለው ምርድኦም ብዘይ ፍላጥ ተጋግዮም ዘለው ምርድኦም of course አሎም ፍርሕ ትኹል ዝገብር ዘሎ ግን ሓቂ ጠፊእዎም ኣይኮነን ስለዚ thank you ዳዊት እዚ ከምዚልካ ዲስካስ ምግባር ኣገዳሲ ስለ ዘዳለኸና እምበሪ very slow ዝኾነ ነገር ቀሲልካ ነቲ ጉዳያት ክግለጸሉ ዝኽእል መንገድታት ኣሎ ኣገባብ ኣሎ ስለዚ ኣጆኹም ንሕና any ዝኾነ ሕቶ ተሓትዎ ነገር ትፈልጦ ደልዩ ድልዋቲና any time ቴሌፎንና ሃቦም ንራኸብ ንስኻትኩም ወረስዎ ታሪኽና ጽባሕ ንጎስኹም ተዘንቲዎ ወደሓንኩም ይቐነለይ
አሜን እዚ ክጽዋዕኩም የዳሕረይ ባባ ማሕሙድ ሕጂ ግዜ ከእቱ
Okay. First of all, thank you, David. Thank you for your participants, and a good time to know each other so we can share ideas and thoughts. أنا قبل ذلك ما جاء مريا نحن منقستي بالنانزات منقستنا يتبلوا عدنا بلو دعمر منقستنا يكون تتكبر منقستنا يكون تسموت أول so we don't ask them to do the question for us or to do anything. بخاطو إذا منقستي يكون إريتريا ده على أول سيد عمبر حزب إريتريا زيادة تجاوبينه سلزي نازلنا تاي وصين حزب إريتريا على أيدا تام حراين واقود نبرنا وصيو جن حتى ذات عليه تزاي تفلت وصيو جزيوه we don't know even his origin okay جن whatever is it تعدي تام منقستنا سلزي خونت إتين السخت قبره نحن نعاخون نينا لنا تحت هذا قلقل اوتوماتيك لا يخنوني صابنا خنون دار قينو خنوني مالتي مستقرايها وات ايفر قدمنا سوشيال كونفليكت ناي بريجوديس انت يسمونيرو لو ممكن دم تتخيل له خمسه تقراي زاربو له دم تتخيل له مز سرعه زي زخي دم يودع ديو ولا دهري قصريو ذات از سب دهر زريو نغري اتي اتروسيتي اب تقراي تغيرو زلو بزح نغرات تغيرو له ولا بفيدرال يكون ولا بإرترا يعني يكون ولا صومال ولا تيمالو صومال سلاماو سلف قبل نيرم دقوم اب إرترا ميليتري كم هروز مزو اب توقيتي وما ميتم اب سلاماو سلف نيرم صومال for more than a week دكنا بيلودنا تبع علي سلازي كل خونه نغر حاجه سياسه بو ابو تي وي سلازي اتا اصلي نايدم مدخل تا يعني تبقيسا لا من قطراي بس اكتزي اذن هاي نحن ممكن هاي اتي سلاماو حزبي تግራይ ይኹን አምሓራ ይኹን خالي ይኹን كموت حد سب زدلني يلي حد سب زدقفه يلي እቲ ስርዓት ግን كلهم حاد يمنعي شايف 27 years تግራይ ገዙ خلو خمسه كنترول غيرهم من يروح تግራይ ابي احمد كما كنترول كقبر دليل سياس كما كنترول قبر كساب حجم حباء الميدوه ابي احمد يمكن ما يتل ولا ابي له ولا توقيع تبهيله كمان حجه قبابنا تو مهيرو
عدي ابيته ولا
well whatever I mean حجي اذا نغرات اذي نحن كن قبرو زلنا نغر انتليو نحن ابزيو زل حجي اربعه حسب لهم كل تسب تفاعلتنا لنا ليس عاد others اتحسابنا نطرنفو نرأيه نحن we don't need war with تግራይ سراويت زي ولا انا اريتريا تولدي يخون امبر نحن ريبريزنت غيرو خيدو يكونن شايف اذا خاخوصيو نحن تريفيجيز ناتنا 100,000 اريتريان زنبر ابياتيو that's what this should be our question اتهم كنا ما ابو زنبر ابياتيو وسيدهم انا اقول له قميتهم okay اب كامبس جاي هدمو so this should be our question is again ولا petition وين كقبروا إريتريان يكالون أبين لو توم ريفيجي أبو ذلوا زنبرو يلنا كلنا نزارب قل ولا حدا كقبر يدلين ولا petition كقبروا كمان they don't want it يونايتد نيشن يخون ولا جنزب أوصيه لو يرس كمان كتقبر تخلها ولا نلهاي كورت كتبص تخلها انفستيجيت كجبر جنا يقبرونه كله بس we just to talk سلذي إذن أي نحن إثيوبيا نبعلا أب ورنا attrition أتيايا مريتنا أمحارة بجاك خالصة بيقمط اللاني مريتنا أورومو بجاك أورومو يقمط اللاني مريتنا سومال مريتنا عفر بجاك سلذي تعدي بإثنيك جروب تمقاقيلا كل حدا بتاع مريتو تمساوي خاخمو سلذي إثيوبيا ذاتها يمكن كم إثيوبيا يتهلون يا كم زي أزر يزلهم زي أمحارون بيان زلوا I don't think it will last long دحريو أب أورومو خمس يوم أورومو خمان خندي اللهم problem عفر problem اللهم سومال problem اللهم ساوث problem اللهم سلذي أبي أحمد كم example يوم اللهم تجراي يا تزحية ليت أوكي دم سيسنايا هنا سلذي خالوت حفنتلكم خموخ قبركم هنا يبلوم اللهم إذا بيعمل تاني مجزاي من قصة فتين ويو هذا سلاسة فتين ويو كل فتين ويو fail gear system يا بعلو so what we need is نحن تيوم دقزل لنا بتي حساباتنا توهايدو أب حاجة زمتي زلو we have to grow this of understanding to each other نتاح قرنا خنحجز قلنا تعدي تعمرد أنا كلم نقبر مبر منقستين تسراويتون أنا I don't claim it.
All right. Okay, thank you. Kaiwadana Holana Nate perspective Kakahebye. I want everybody to understand Kutfotuo, Skatkum, experience alokum, Abadi Tolidkum, what Hadernerkum, Tedros, you must gonna Kai for coming here and speaking your piece and your perspective. Baba Mahmoud. Obviously, we have the same perspective because Masaha Abe, Baba Bed, and then Bini Mankani, boy of Maranatka, I think family Natani. Kalisab Dime Mitisab Tuhoele the meeting. Next time Kubokume Kuturabo. I know last minute and I appreciate that. But Captain Eritrea, could photo to not the agenda. Politics, I get to send in you. Wala Amharu, you Kotolo, Wara Chinese Kotolo, net his be as Zareb. Mallets, yeah, but I mean, a size 4K, I 420. So, Besonku in as Adina Fah, Illumission, Roya blames Gobro. Nabi Ahmed Kani experience Zebulu Ala Azuri. Again, could the Omnetum his be? Is it panel natum views so they can explain their perspective to you. But for me, my team nuts in that zublokum, we're one. Nahna for the hizbina. To hizbuk harad kollo, musomina zelana. Hiji, come to zublo to narrative. Wala Eritrean to walida holo to narrative nate na aismani. Hizbi tigray kotolo. I don't care wala agree to gabber, I agree to gabber. It is his basic. TPLF I'm talking about the Hizbi. Hizbi Eritrea خد موت كلها ما Hizbi Eritrea is الدقفة. Hizbi Tigray خد موت كلها إن Hizbi Tigray is الدقفة. مست Hizbi أزل له ونأتي Hizbi دمسي أزرب له. So اتيام زموتو زلو قلنا خمالنا. Pray نقبر مسحهم pray نقبر لنا. Hizbi Tigray خاني اتيام إخواتي قربتي أبوهم أديهم زموتو زلو هو casualties of wars is about. There's no way around that. Mish casualty of war. Again, pray na gabara lanas hum kai tumatuhani. Deko hum kai motu kaherodu besankaziam dictators. Zuhulu natem dictators blaming zgboru. Sarawit orders wasidu kagabari to orders zuwahab dalo halafiz obadalo. Tama azhon dalo hani and regardless of what level the terrible things that are happening, we denounce it. Mish Captain Eritrea and Nate Team Freedom Nublo Kulu denouncing and go to Maltal denounce Nubaro, Misra denounce Nubaro Kulu. Ging instead of picking sides, Anaham Tizirio, Mr. Hizbi as a loho. So Tagari Temi Hawat Kuzmotulo, Adehum Zmotulo, Dokum Zmotulo, we pray for you. We are with you, Kambini and Tedros and Kolom Zubalu, Mr. Homalana. we don't want this to happen to you, the atrocities. If this ever happens to my people in Eritrea, we want you to be with us too. This is what we're praying for. We just want peace, no war, no death. But this is a sensitive topic and a sensitive subject. So it's not easy to discuss this and relay your feelings appropriately without someone getting offended. I want everybody to understand that. With that said, I will bring these great people back on. We will end it with some good music. I got an original song for a way to end it to honor our two elder guests.
Oh, I know that song.
بس next time داود تعدمنا خلها tell us 2 days ahead so we can
Yes, sir.
arrange.
Yes, sir. I promise. Feel free to hop off the meeting anytime you want, gentlemen. Good night. We love you. God bless you.
Take care. Thank you, guys. It's nice meeting you, Tedros and Baba Mahmoud.
Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Mikhail.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Keep in touch.
Yeah. Good night, guys. It was a nice discussion.
Allah.
Thank you, guys.
Allah, Tedros.
Yeah. Ciao.
Allah.